All right, team, welcome to this training where we're going to go ahead and break down the phone and text messaging importance concepts that are going to be critical for you before you go ahead and get your business phone and text messaging up and running. So we're going to go ahead and go over the foundation of what's going to be important for you to understand as you are going ahead and making sure that you are able to go ahead and get set up with phone and text messaging in your business, because it's going to be an absolute game changer once you actually go ahead and get this set up. So we are going to go ahead and talk about, hey, why is a business phone important? Why not use your personal phone for business? What are some of the legal laws in order to make sure that you register your business phone number? Is phone and text messaging going to be right for you? Do you have even a choice as to whether or not you do this or not? Spoiler alert, you do. And then we're going to talk about what is going to come up next, so that way you can make sure that you are rocking and rolling. So very first point on here, why is having a business phone, and specifically a business phone number, going to be important? Well, it's important because in general, what you are going to find is that 53% of people still to this day prefer receiving a phone call rather than going through email or something like that, right? So that's going to be just on the phone number point of view in terms of phone calling. Now, here's the crazy thing. Whenever you're trying to go ahead and get a hold of a business to see if they're open, what do? You most likely just pick up the phone and call them, right? So whenever you're looking for immediate information, that's what you do. And so especially for local businesses, it's going to be so important, more important than ever, to make sure that you have that professional image to maintain, hey, this is my personal side and this is my work side. So that way it allows for clients to be able to go ahead and reach out to you directly, right? So this right here, that is for phone calling, okay? Well, what about for text messaging? Well, guess what? It gets even better when it comes for text messaging. 76% of people say that they find text messaging the preferred way to be able to communicate. I'm sure you've gone ahead and noticed this in your own life as well, right? In terms of picking up medications, getting your tire changed at the car shop, when you order food or groceries. All of these businesses are using text messages, whether that be automated or being able to have the client communication as well in a service-based business. And so the truth is that the reality in today's business is that if you want to be able to survive as times are changing, you can either play the big boy game and say, hey, you know what, I got to step up to the plate and actually be a real business, or the small boy game, which is like, hey, I'm going to just be a entrepreneur and kind of just dabble around here and there. And guess what? Small businesses stay small for that exact reason. So if you're trying to be a professional entrepreneur, it's very important to make sure that you understand, hey, having that business phone number is going to be very important for me. Okay. Now, the question would be, and on that note of talking about playing small boy and girl games, right? Let's talk about, hey, why not use a personal phone number for business, right? Hey, I'll just use my personal phone. That's what most beginners think, right? And here's the thing. The truth is that we are here to be able to help you grow, get more clients, help you learn how to be able to go out there and help more people, how to make income, impact, and freedom for yourself as well as for the people who are in your life. And the truth is that being a small boy or a small girl playing a big game is not going to work, because the truth is that when you are mixing personal with your professional, imagine you have 25 clients who just have your personal phone number, and now all of it is mixed there, right? And now all of a sudden you're trying to call up, let's say for example, you're calling up a potential client, you're calling up, what's going on there, and you got all of this mixed up where let's say a client is trying to call you, and then on the phone, you don't know, hey, is this a telemarketer? Is this a doctor's appointment? What's going on here? And this is what happens when you're mixing personal with business, right? Same thing on here is going to be business platform features, right? The other thing is that if you're using your personal phone, you're not going to have those business enterprise features, right? Things like a business platform like ClientKit are going to provide for you, things like missed callback, call recording, which are essential for business and legal compliance as well, okay? Another reason why you don't want to use your personal number for business purposes is like, hey, you can't use the automations and the workflow reminders. Imagine trying to go ahead and automate text messages that are coming from your personal phone number. You cannot do it, right? Imagine calendar reminders. Imagine those text messages like, hey, you have your session coming up. You got to be able to show up, right? What you're going to see is you're going to get 50 to 60% more people showing up to their appointments when you actually use those text message reminders. That is not something that you're going to be able to do with your personal phone number, right? And then down the road, as you start to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to play the big man or the big woman game here. And you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to start hiring people to help me actually grow my business, which down the road, we're going to have a course and teach you how to be able to hire virtual assistants for as little as $400, $500, $600 a month, who can now manage appointments for you, who can do lead generation for you, who can help you go out and get more customers, right? Guess what? you're not going to be able to go ahead and scale to that point, which quite frankly, it's very easy to scale to that point. We're going to go ahead and show you the step-by-step. It's going to be up to you to go ahead and implement that. But the truth being, you can't do that if you're going ahead and running everything off of your personal phone number. And so this is the reason why it's very important to understand the distinction and the difference as to why you cannot use your personal phone for business purposes. So trust us. I know this is a new habit for many new beginner business owners to actually get used to. But as you start to make that a habit and you say, you know what, I'm going to use a business platform like ClientKit to be the one go-to area for all of my communication, well, guess what? You now have a system and a strategy that's going to be able to go ahead and scale with you, okay? Now, the important thing you got to know about this is that there are legal laws in order to register your business phone number, okay? So what happened here is that over the last year or so, because there was so much spam going on with the text messages and the calls and the telemarketing and stuff like that, there's some new laws and regulation that has been passed concurrently by the group of phone carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you can avoid any penalties, any fees, any messages being blocked by going ahead and walking you through that registration process in an upcoming training section, right? So right now we are in the training of phone and text messaging business setup. We're going to go ahead and walk you in the upcoming training section on how to go through that. And in fact, we've already gone ahead and done pretty much 90, 95, 99% of the work for you. It's already to copy and paste once you get there. But we do want to go ahead and set expectations that approval process of getting your phone number registered is approximately can take up to, I'm going to say take up to because at this time that process kind of changes in terms of how long it takes, but can take up to 4 to 6 weeks. And so this is why it's so important to make sure that we're putting this training here so you can go ahead and get this process started right away. And don't worry, like I said, we've already gone ahead and built out 99% of what you can go ahead and submit. It's already copy and paste templates. And then on top of that, we've worked with ClientKit in order to make sure that the application process is step by step for you as well. But the important thing that we're mentioning here is that because even though we've made the process easy for you, time is still going to be a factor. So that way we want to just make sure that we are setting up the expectations of what the timeline is going to be. And then before we actually get into the actual application, we're also going to set the expectations of what the costs are going to be as well. So that way you can make an empowered and informed decision as you start to go down this route. Okay. So the question is, hey, is phone and text messaging right for me? The answer is it's going to depend. And if you want to stay a small business owner, you want to act small, sure. We've already said this a bunch of times, but the important thing that you got to know is that if you were to go out there and try to get this through, you got to go buy a new iPhone and then you're going to go over to T-Mobile and say, cool, I'm going to open up a new line. You're going to have a bunch of different headache, but what we're going to walk you through here is actually going to streamline the process so that way you can actually make sure that your entire business communication is streamlined as well. But at the end of the day, what we say to everybody is it is your business and it is your choice if this is what you want to actually do, right? Our goal throughout this entire program is to equip you with the knowledge, with the information, with the understanding of, hey, this is what the process is. I'm empowered to actually know if I wanted to do this. And then guess what? It's up to you if you actually want to proceed with the step-by-step if you want to go through that. Now, if you ask us, in our opinion, and in all of the businesses that we start when dealing with clients, especially a client business, having that business phone number in order to be able to automate text message reminders, confirm appointments, all of that is absolutely critical in addition to all the show up rate, additional benefits that you're going to get with that. But ultimately that decision is up to you. Now, of course, some new business owners who are kind of just dabbling into this or just kind of doing this on the side, sure, maybe they're not really doing much revenue or any revenue at all. They can get away with not having a business phone number for text messaging. Sure. I'm just letting you know that option does exist depending on if you decide that is what it is that you want to do. But at the end of the day, this is the reason why we go ahead and build this as a community-based education program, because our recommendations are going to be based off of what we have worked for us as well as what we have seen work for others in the industry. But we can always have a communication and a conversation inside of the community. And you can ask, hey, community, this is my situation. Would it be right for me? Well, guess what? You can actually find out because of the fact that you have access to that community. Okay, so with this introduction being said, what is next? What's going to happen next is that we are going to go ahead and continue and talk about, hey, we have to really have an entire training section about the laws, because it's very important that you don't break these laws around phone and text message communication when it comes to business. So we're going to have an entire training section around that. We're going to talk about the costs. Then we're going to start walking you through step by step, right? There's going to be training sections step by step on how to go through that application process, how to purchase your business phone number, how to be able to hook it up to the business platform. And all of it, again, is 99% already done. All you got to do is just walk yourself through the step-by-step process. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been the training explaining the business phone and text messaging system. FDR has an awesome quote where he says, the only limit to our realization of tomorrow is our doubt of today. And so I would just urge you, hey, I know it's scary. You're doing something for the first time. You're going to have doubts, but you're crafting your future. You're going ahead and creating your future with every action you're taking. Keep on going through these trainings. Keep on taking action. You're doing fantastic. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training where we're going to go ahead and break down the phone communication laws. We're going to go ahead and make it super simple for you. We're going to go ahead and get through it very, very succinctly so that way you understand exactly what are the phone communication laws so you can make sure that you are avoiding getting in trouble. So we're going to talk about, hey, what are those phone communication laws? How long does that approval take? What happens if I do not register, if I decide to go ahead and just use a business phone number without registering? Let's go ahead and talk about that right now. So first and foremost, what are the phone communication laws? So just like any industry, there are rules and regulations that are there to make sure that people who are in the industry are compliant. Okay, think about how much spam there would be if people were just messaging you non-stop across the entire country, and then how much fake news and information would be spread. It would be terrible, right? And so what has happened is that over the last couple of years, the phone carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, they have created guidelines on how businesses must engage in SMS and text messaging and business phone calls, and how they have to actually orient themselves, how they actually have to behave on those specific channels. And so because of that, it has become extremely strict on making sure that there are no bad actors who are using telemarketing and spam text messaging for fraudulent activities. And so what has happened is that as of 2023, there is a new registration, there are new laws that have been created that are called A2P 10DLC. Okay, I know it sounds like a funky name over there, and you kind of get used to it as you get more and more exposed to it. A2P 10DLC registration is the rules and regulations that they have created in order to make sure that everybody is compliant. Okay, so what is A2P 10DLC? So 10DLC stands for 10-digit long code number. That is just a fancy way to say that the typical phone numbers that you and I are familiar with, right? Let's say, for example, you have a phone number. So I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. So my hometown has the area code 407. So 407-876-3485. Don't worry, that's not a real number, or I don't think it's a real number. But over here, this is going to be a 10DLC number, okay? So what happened is that beginning in 2023, the major carriers said, you know what? We're now going to create a registration requirement for making sure that every single business 10DLC number, which is this right here, is registered to an actual business to make sure that the SMSs that are being sent out are trustworthy and reliable. Now, it's very important to note that the A2P 10DLC registration only applies to US phone numbers that are text messaging US phone numbers. It is not required for phone numbers outside of the US or for toll-free numbers. It's a whole different process. We'll get into that later on, right? So if you are in Canada, this is not something that you would need to register if you're just messaging Canadian customers. Only those who intend to use a US phone number to text US customers will need to go through this registration. Okay, now compliance is actually critical so that way you can make sure that you're avoiding fees, your text messages getting blocked, and those kinds of things. And so if you do not register your number, then your text messages will be blocked from being sent out. Okay, and so this entire registration process, there's actually a committee. It's called the Campaign Registry Committee. They are the ones who actually approve every single one of those applications. So this is not something that we or ClientKit or other companies have anything to do with. This is all going through the committee, the Legal Registration Committee, that is a separate committee that's been created by the government and the phone carriers to actually handle that approval process. So sometimes that approval process can be lengthy, but fortunately for you, you are inside of this program. And so even though that registration is mandatory, what we've gone ahead and done is we've gone ahead and made sure that this is as easy as possible for you, even though the vast majority of businesses right now in this new A2P 10DLC world are struggling to be able to go ahead and figure this out on their own. Because you're in a community-based program like the way that you are right now, guess what? We've already gone ahead and created those assets that we're going to be walking you through, so that way it's very, very easy for you to be able to go ahead and get approved through this process as long as you follow the instructions that we go ahead and outline. Now, we do want to also go ahead and just set the expectations here in terms of how long is that process going to take. It really is going to differ based off of a number of factors, and we'll talk about those. But even though we've gone ahead and created 99% of those assets for you, and ClientKit has also gone ahead and created a step-by-step submission application. Depending on when you're going through this training, we are hearing that sometimes the approval process can take up to 4 to 6 weeks. And so that is the reason why that's pretty much what's standard approval time for any business looking to register a business phone number. Now, one important note on here is that registering your phone number through A2P 10DLC only applies to text messaging for right now, okay? And so what that means is that as soon as you go ahead and obtain a phone number, you can actually start making phone calls and receiving phone calls immediately, right? You don't have to register in order to do that. What we are talking about is the registration is specifically for text messages. And so when we walk you through purchasing a phone number, we will go ahead and walk you through and remind you of this once again, that, hey, once you buy your phone number, which is very, very cheap, it's like $1 or $2, then it's very easy for you to go ahead and start making phone calls, but you have to go through the registration process in order to send text messages. Now, again, that 4 to 6 week process, that's not going to harm your business. Don't worry. We have plenty of things that you are going to be able to work on in terms of marketing and sales, as well as being able to send out emails and all that kind of stuff to get your business up and going. So it's not like you're just sitting there like a wantrepreneur or wannabe entrepreneur who's like, you know what, I'm just going to take it easy, wait 4 to 6 weeks, and no. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get you rocking and rolling while this is happening in the background. So again, as you're continuing through the trainings, we will go ahead and get you set up properly as you're able to go ahead and streamline your business and make sure that you are rocking and rolling. Okay, now in terms of how does this A2P registration benefit your business, it does so through a number of ways. It's going to increase your messaging quality, your deliverability, your content-based messaging is not going to get marked as a spam, so it's going to be verified. It's going to make sure that you reduce disruption as well, so that way you don't have to worry about, oh, my text messages aren't going through, that's not working, as well as it's making sure that your users, the clients that you have, the customers that you have, are going to have a positive experience, because the more and more people who are being registered through this process, it makes sure that we're getting less and less text messages as a whole. So this applies for you and your family as well. So it's just a very good thing to make sure that you are getting registered, so that way it helps your business overall. And so our recommendation is like, hey, it is a one-time process. You go through it one time and then you never have to worry about it ever again. And it has so many benefits for your business. But again, the decision is up to you completely. Right now, in terms of, you're like, you know what if I just purchase a phone number, a business phone number, but I decide not to actually register? Well, number one, you probably are not going to get your text messages to actually go through, okay? Plus, registration is required. But the other thing is that, let's say, for example, you do get your text messages to go through and you don't register. Well, here's the thing. Well, if you don't register your number, potentially it could be resold. So there are large companies out there that what they do is they say, okay, you know what, these numbers are not registered. We're going to go ahead and resell them. And then guess what happens? Let's say, for example, you're using your number, but then somebody else gets sold your exact number as well. And then if they're going ahead and sending out all these dangerous messages or all these kinds of messages that are out there, you could be liable for the messages that other people are sending. And those have some hefty fines, right? T-Mobile just announced that for tier 1 violations, the $2,000 fine, for tier 2, $1,000 fine, for tier 3, $500 fine. So we're talking about, literally, they call it SEV0 violation is the most severe consumer violation for non-compliance fine that carriers can actually go ahead and do. So you don't want to go ahead and end up in a situation where you have these fines because of the fact that you did not go ahead and register your number, especially with how easy we've gone ahead and made it. Like I've said this 102 times throughout this training, I'm probably going to say it 102 times more, is we've gone ahead and done 99% of the work already for you, as well as working with ClientKit to make sure that there's a step-by-step portal for you to be able to submit all the templates that we've created for you. So because of all of that, and because people love to be able to prefer to communicate via text message these days anyways, in our opinion, it's a no-brainer to go ahead and get registered. So that way it's really just something that streamlines your entire business's communications. But again, like we said 102 times, we're seeing a bunch of stuff 102 times, so that way it actually sticks, is guess what? The decision is up to you. Do you have a choice? Yes, it is your business. It is what you decide that you want to do. If you're worried about the expense of having a business phone number, don't worry. It's literally nominal. It's literally like a rounding error. We're going to walk you through an entire training section on what those costs are. You're going to see that they're very, very nominal, very much affordable, right? If you're in business. If you're not in business, you're like, hey, I'm just dabbling. That's a different story, right? But if you're in business and then being able to go ahead and get 50 to 60% of your prospects, leads, and customers to show up to their appointment, being able to go ahead and make everything faster and more efficient, allows you to build more trust with your businesses as well. It's such a no-brainer to be able to go ahead and do this. But again, it's a community-based program. If you're not sure, you can always ask inside of the community as well. And your success is dependent on you. It's like, hey, if you decide to proceed in the business phone number, you're going to see the benefits of it. If you decide not to, then you're going to have to make that decision for you and your business. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is next now that we've talked about this? Inside of the next training sections, we are going to go ahead and start to break down what the costs of a business phone number are going to be, so that way you are fully empowered and not just getting into something without knowing what it is that you are getting into. And then we're going to step by step, literally making it super easy for you to go ahead and get this done, which is another huge advantage of the reason why you are inside of this program. Ladies and gentlemen, do not stop yet. You are doing a phenomenal job knocking out these trainings. Keep that momentum going. This has been Understanding the Phone Communication Laws. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome back. In this training section, we are going to go ahead and break down the costs when it comes to a business phone number for business calling as well as text messaging. Again, our goal here is to empower you with the knowledge and information so that way you understand, hey, I'm not surprised. I'm not confused. I know exactly what it is that I am getting myself into. So we are going to have two options that we are going to go ahead and break down. There's going to be a cost breakdown for what we call the normal local phone number and text messaging. And then there is the toll-free phone number and text messaging. Okay, now I want to go ahead and make this clear right now, and you're going to see me repeat this 3 or 4 times throughout this training section, is that for 99.9% of you, toll-free is not going to be the best option. You are going to be going ahead and proceeding with the normal local phone number and text message option, but I'm going to break both of them down for you so that way you're educated and empowered to understand what the difference between those two is even in the first place. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down what is the normal local phone and text messaging. So the normal local text messaging, what this means is that it's basically a normal number that has an area code. So for example, if you live in Dallas, Texas, that might be like 469. If you live in Orlando, Florida, that's like 407, right? If you live in Altamont, Florida, that's like 321. That is a normal local phone and text messaging number. Right now, what are the costs that are involved with that? There's going to be one-time costs, and then there are going to be ongoing costs. Again, very nominal, but let me go ahead and break these down for you. When it comes to the one-time costs, there is a brand registry cost. This is going to be that A2P 10DLC registration that's going to register your company with that phone number. That does cost around, depending on where you're going through the training, it's around $4.41. Then there is a campaign registry one-time fee of $16 and change, which means that you have a total one-time cost for getting your business phone number registered of $20.95. Now, these one-time costs are paid to the phone carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, and to the TCR registration committee in order for them to be able to go through and review and approve your application. Okay, this is very important. I'm going to slow down a little bit because I know sometimes we go a little bit fast so that we want to get you tactically going up and running, but I'm going to slow down so that way you can hear me very clearly about this. Okay, so yes, is this another way for the carriers to be able to make money through the businesses? Probably, okay? But hey, this is what we got to do. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk more about this entire review and approval part of the application. Now, we already talked about, hey, what is this A2P 10DLC kind of thing? We already talked about it in the previous training section. If you have not watched that, make sure you go back through that. But for $20, for the history of your entire business, all going into the future, not bad for you to go ahead and get your phone number registered, okay? That is going to be the one-time cost. Now, in terms of the ongoing costs, you're going to see these are extremely nominal. The first one is going to be what is the cost of the phone number to purchase the phone number from the carriers, okay? So for a local business number, that's going to run anywhere between $1.15 and $2.30 per month. And the reason why there's a range there is because depending on the location, XYZ, like in California, I think the business phone numbers to purchase them are closer to $2 per month. Sometimes it changes. Again, these are costs that are paid to AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon in order to purchase the phone numbers for business use, okay? And so this is going to be for every phone number that you use. Now, obviously, if you decide to purchase 5 phone numbers, then you have to pay that monthly amount times 5. But for most of you, you're only going to have really one number, maybe 2 numbers. I don't know why you'd have 2 numbers, but maybe 2 numbers if you have a sales team and you're doing a lot of outbound calling and that kind of stuff, sure. But for most of you, 99.9% of you, you're only going to have 1 number, and that's going to run you between $1.15 and $2. So $1 or $2 per month. Very, very nominal here, right? Now, there is a carrier campaign fee. This is again paid to the carriers in order to keep your registration active. Now, in the actual onboarding process, it is going to say that it's up to $12 per month. However, if you follow our recommendations, which is again, the reason why you are a part of this program and not just winging it, as if you didn't know, if you follow our recommendations, we are going to recommend something called the low volume mix campaign. You'll see that in an upcoming training section. That's about $1.70 per month. So, right? So it's not $12 per month. It's going to be $1.70 per month. So you're at like what? $2 plus $1.70 $1.70, like at $4 per month so far. Very, very nominal. So that's going to be that. Now, there is going to be usage-based costs. Now, the usage-based costs we have talked about in the past. These are going to be any feature that relies on external services that ClientKit has no control over, right? So ClientKit has to pay external providers in order to allow us and you to be able to go ahead and text message and call and that kind of stuff, right? So the rates as has been communicated to us by ClientKit for US and Canada are on the screen right now, okay? And so that means for about $1, you can send 63 text messages, which is insane. Like it's a lot of text messages, right? And so you can send a lot of text messages for a very, very, very small amount of money, okay, which is awesome. And then the other thing you got to keep in mind is that this is a variable cost, right? So these over here that we talked, these are fixed costs, $1 or $2 a month, right? But variable cost means the beauty of them is that as your business grows, as you're sending more and more text messages, right, it's making a smaller and smaller and smaller percentage of what your overall revenue is. And so it's extremely, extremely affordable and it's extremely flexible. It's not like a fixed cost there, right? And so the total ongoing monthly cost is going to be about $4 with that registration cost. And then obviously it's going to be based off of the usage-based cost as well. So again, $4 a month to be able to have a business phone number that you can use for automations, workflows, reminders, contact communication, business purposes. Not bad at all. Okay, so this is going to be the breakdown of the normal local phone and text messaging. Okay, and so this breakdown that we just went over, I want you to be empowered before we actually get into the step by step, so that way you are empowered to understand, hey, this is what I am looking at in terms of the cost of my business phone number and the text messaging and all of that. Okay, very important. But hey, you're a big boy and a big girl, and you understand like, hey, this is the cost of doing business. And so you understand, hey, this is what I'm getting myself into. That is what's going to be applicable for 99% of you. Let's now go ahead and break down toll free. And I'm going to explain to you the difference here so that way you can understand exactly what's going on here. So the second type of number that you can register is a toll-free number. Now, what does that mean when it's a toll-free number? A toll-free number is any number that starts with things like 800, hey, call 1-800, right? 844, 866, or 888. And what you can do is the pro of a toll-free number is that once you actually buy a toll-free number, there's a completely different registration process than the normal A2P 10DLC, right? So over here on the normal local phone area code, there's a up to 4 to 6 week process to get approved, right? On the toll-free number, you can actually start text messaging immediately, but the con is that there's more recurring expenses. Okay, that's one con. And then the second thing is that these are not local area codes. And so you don't really build that trust. When you have clients, let's say in your local area, and let's say, for example, I'm back home in my hometown of Orlando, Florida, and let's say I'm running a business and it's from the 407 area code, people who are in the 407 area code understand like, hey, this is a local number. They're more likely to build that trust around that. And so what you have to understand about this is that there is a difference between the normal registration process here and then the special different registration process here that allows you to start text messaging and doing those things immediately. So the question is like, hey, which one should you pick? Again, I've said this before already. For 99.9% of you, our recommendation is that, hey, you're going to be able to wait up to 4 to 6 weeks. It's not going to take necessarily 4 to 6 weeks, but up to 4 to 6 weeks for the normal local phone and text messaging, because that is going to go ahead and get you set up for the long term. Okay. However, let's say, for example, you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Cool, up to 4 to 6 weeks. But on top of that, I have additional cash and I want to start text messaging immediately, where only a very small percentage of you, maybe 1% of you, are going to fall into this exact camp, which is like, you know what? I want to spend money to also then buy an additional toll-free number, because then I can go ahead and start text messaging immediately. Now, if you fall into that camp, I want to go ahead and make this very clear, is that there is going to be a completely separate registration process for that. And so if you are going to be going down the toll-free registration route, we are not going to be walking you through the step-by-step of that in this specific training. We're going to be walking you through all of the step-by-step for this one right over here. And then you are going to need to reach out via the community and ask for support on how to go through that different registration process, okay? Because like I said, we're building the training for what is going to be applicable for what is 99% of you. And so if you are that one exception case, you're like, you know what, I want to go ahead and get rocking and rolling immediately with the additional cost, because you have to remember, there are additional costs to go ahead and do that. If you're saying, you know what, bet, I want to do that, then what you're going to go ahead and do is you are going to reach out in the community and get that information there. Now, again, as we continue to say over and over again, is like, hey, do I have a choice in this entire matter? Of course, it's your business. You absolutely have a choice. Now, in our opinion, these expenses are so nominal that if you're going to not try to nickel and dime your way into business, if you're actually serious about making a serious income, you're talking about $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, then $1 or $2 here, All of that is just nickel and diming, small business, entrepreneur, wannabe entrepreneur thinking, right? However, for those of you who might just be thinking, you know what, I'm just dabbling right now, I don't plan on building revenue, maybe going down this route may not be the best for you, right? And so ultimately we leave the decision up to you to decide what is going to be best for you. This is the reason why we've built this as a community-based program, so that way you can go ahead and ask there, as well as be empowered to understand what decision is going to be best for you. Okay, now in terms of what's going to happen next after this, what we are going to go ahead and now do is we're going to go ahead and start breaking down step by step exactly what that process is to go ahead and purchase your phone number, how to get all of your business documents ready for the application process, how to make sure that you can get your business application for your phone number from A2P 10DLC approved immediately. Hopefully that's going to be, fingers crossed, the goal here. So we're going to walk you through exactly how to go ahead and do that. The biggest thing I want to go ahead and tell you as we close out this specific training is that the difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, it's not a lack of knowledge, but as Vince says, it's rather a lack of will, okay? And so what's happening right now is that as you are going through this, you are willing your desired future into reality. Your efforts are turning your dreams into reality. So I would urge you, hey, stay focused, stay driven, keep on chugging along through these trainings. You're doing a phenomenal job. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training section. We're going to go ahead and walk you through how to actually go ahead and purchase a business phone number. So we're going to walk you through that step by step. Now, a couple quick reminders before we actually get into this. Number one, purchase, but do not use yet. Okay, so remember, all we're doing right now is we're purchasing the phone number, and then make sure that you do not use it yet. Don't use it to be able to send out text messages. You can only use it to be able to make phone calls. But even that, maybe don't do that right now, because you don't want to damage your ClientKit account. That's going to prevent you from being able to go ahead and get things set up properly. So we're going to walk you through how to register your phone number in the upcoming later training sections. Right now, this is only about purchasing the phone number right now, okay? Number two reminder is that you are going to go ahead and most likely go through and purchase a local business phone number. I'm going to remind you of this again in just a second, but the local phone number is what's going to allow you to build trust with the clients, especially as we go into the marketing courses that are going to walk you through how to use this phone number for the purposes of marketing, as well as the cost. I want to go ahead and remind you of that as well. We went ahead and had a completely big training section that broke down each of those costs individually, so that way you understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. But it's about $2 per month, usually $1 to $2 per month, to have a local business phone number. So make sure you are empowered about that. Don't worry, this is an investment in your business. If you decided to go ahead and proceed, very, 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 very awesome investment. It's going to help you with your business. Okay, so quick reminders on there. Hope you got it. Let's go ahead and dive into actually purchasing your business phone number. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do is right now we're going to go ahead and go over to settings at the bottom left inside of your ClientKit account. And then once we go over to settings, we are then going to go down over to phone numbers. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go over to phone numbers right over there. And then once this actually loads, you're going to see that it gives us the ability, it's going to say on here, manage numbers, regulatory bundles and address, trust center, advanced settings. We don't got to worry about any of this. We got to be under manage numbers for right now. And then what you're going to see on here is that it says your A2P 10DLC is incomplete. Please go to the registration tab or the trust tab in order to go ahead and start that. Now, we're not going to worry about this for right now, because remember, we're going to walk you through that in the upcoming training sections. Now, you will see that on here, I do have a phone number that's already purchased. You're probably not going to have that. This was just for test purposes here. But what you are going to do is you are going to go ahead and click on add number, okay? And you're going to see it has a couple different options on here. We're just going to go ahead and click on add phone number for the purposes of SMS and calls. And then what's going to do is going to go ahead and populate right over here, and it's going to allow us to be able to go ahead and select a phone number. Now, couple important points on this. You're going to see where it says type. That is where it's going to be. Remember, we talked about the local number right there. It's going to say local, and then it's also later on going to say toll free. We are going to be sticking to local, okay? And we've already gone ahead and talked about the difference between those two already, okay? Now, it does also go ahead and give us the ability to check which country we're going to be buying that phone number in. So a lot of you who are in the United States, you're going to be doing that. If you're in Canada or a different country, obviously you're going to know and understand that, right? But obviously we are in the United States, so we're going to continue with the United States on here, right? So then we got filter over here. So the filter, we can actually go ahead and search and say, you know what? I want to have, let's say, a specific phrase inside of my phone number, or I want to have a specific series of digits, right? like, a specific number of something on here. You can go ahead and select that potentially as well. You can say, you know what, I want that to be, and this is how cool ClientKit is, right? Like, we love working with, softwares and partners who are just really, really smart. And I think ClientKit is one of the best partners that we've been able to go ahead and work with, is because look how smart this is, right? Say, hey, you know what? I want these digits or this phrase to be at the first part of the number, or I want it to be on the last part of the number, or any part of the number. You can go ahead and decide if you want to do that, right? And then you can say, you know what? I want this to have all three capabilities. I want it to be a toll-free number, or I want it to be a local number, right? So all of that is available on there. Now, in this case, I am going to go ahead and unselect toll-free. I don't really care about the digits, and I'm going to make sure that I have all three of these checked. I go ahead and click apply. And then from there, I now have a bunch of different phone numbers that I can pick from, right? Now, in this case, I might say, you know what? I want to see if I can get, let's say, for example, I was born and raised in Florida, Central Florida. So I said, you know what? I want to see if I can get, let's say, like a 321 number, right? So let me see, and I'm going to do this maybe, I don't know. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm doing this live with you. So let's see if we can actually get this going here. There we go. Look at that. 321. So I know that if my business is going to be located in, let's say, like Central Florida, Altamont Springs, like, that area, Orlando, I'm like, cool. You know what? I want to get a 321 number. So that way the people that I call or communicate or text message with in that locality are going to know that I am also local as well. So it builds trust. And then obviously you can come in here and, just look at the numbers, whatever you want to do. You click on that right there, and you'll see that it does also give you the price. So it does tell me that this specific phone number is going to be $1.21 per month, which is awesome because that's on the lower end of the scale. We did say there's about, $1 to $2 around there. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and click on proceed to buy. And then once you go ahead and click on that, proceed to buy, it is actually going to go ahead and say, good, awesome, congratulations. You have now gone ahead and purchased the number successfully. Now, it is actually going to automatically charge the card that you have on file. Okay, so this is very important. You want to make sure that before you do this, and maybe you're already following along, like, oh, I already did it. Well, it's okay, because we've told you many times before to make sure that your card is active on file. You go over to company billing. You want to make sure that your card is on file on there, because that is what's going to be charged for that phone number. Okay, and you want to make sure that that stays active, because you don't want to lose your phone number, because that'd be terrible. You build an entire business off of a specific phone number, and then guess what? You lose that phone number. No. You want to make sure that card is always active there under company billings inside of your settings, so you don't lose your business phone number. And then you'll see on here, it does also say that the A2P registration is still required, and it's going to say, cool, go ahead and start registration for A2P. We are not going to do that just yet, because we are going to go ahead and walk you through how to be able to collect your business information, how to update your business profile, how to set up the contact page, how to be able to do all of that before you submit. So do not proceed to submit to A2P just yet. There are some very important steps that we need to walk you through before you can actually do that, okay? But once you actually go ahead and click on the X button there, you are going to see that phone number, you see that 321 number, is going to show up inside of your ClientKit account. And so guess what? You now have a business phone number. See how easy that was? Amazing. Now, like I said, don't go out there and just all of a sudden start using your phone number. We still need to go through that registration process so you're rocking and rolling. And so what's going to be next now is we're going to continue down this process. Now that you've purchased your number, we're now going to actually walk you through how to navigate those strict laws and regulations so that way you can register the number and get rocking and rolling. Again, we've gone ahead and made it super easy for you. All you got to do is follow the steps through the upcoming training sections. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been purchasing your phone number. Every step you take is progress. You're doing amazing. Do not stop now. Keep that momentum going. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, fired up, ready to go. Let's go ahead and talk about collecting your business information. Let's keep this momentum going. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is talk to you about, hey, before you submit your business phone number to the registration committee to go ahead and get approved, it's going to be very important to make sure that you have all of your business information documents together in one place. So that way, when it comes time to actually submit your A2P registration for the first time, you're knocking it out from the first shot without getting rejected. Okay, so the most important business document that you're going to need for the purposes of the A2P registration is going to be your original EIN letter from the IRS. Okay, so what happens is that when you register with the IRS, okay, now some of you are like, hey, I'm a sole prop, I'm not registered with the IRS. Don't worry, we'll get to that in just a second. But for a lot of you, when you register with the IRS, they send you an EIN letter for your corporation, okay? So the EIN is similar to what the Social Security number is for a normal individual, right? So they send you that EIN letter, and on that EIN letter is going to be the original name of your corporation, okay, as well as the address for the corporation and all of that. Now, we urged you to go ahead and make sure, and we covered the importance of saving those documents when we were talking about creating your business bank account and all of that stuff. This is why we're going ahead and letting you know, you got to make sure you have this document. And the reason why you have to make sure you have this document is because when the registration committee, the TCR committee, is going in and approving your registration, what they are doing is, because remember, they are a government entity, they have access to the records from the IRS. They're going to look up the records from the IRS and they're going to check, hey, what is the name on file, right? What is the actual address on file? And it is going to be critical for you to make sure that whatever name is on your original EIN letter is exactly to the exact abbreviation, punctuation, commas, dashes, has to match exactly what is on the IRS letter. If it does not, then what's going to happen is they're going to have to do a further investigation to say, hey, you know what? It doesn't match exactly. Is this a different company? Is it the exact same company, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff there. And so that's going to delay or even reject your application if it does not match exactly what is on the IRS letter. Okay, so that is the reason why we're going ahead and prepping you to make sure that you go ahead and have this ahead of time so that way your registration process goes as smoothly as possible. Now, don't worry. In typical fashion, as we do here, is over delivery. The question you might have is, hey, what if I don't have that original letter? Don't worry. It's super easy to go ahead and get a replacement. That form that you're looking for, that letter, is called, in the IRS's terms, it's called the 147C letter from the IRS. It is easy to request a replacement. On the screen right now, you will see that we have a screenshot that we got from the internet in terms of how you can actually request a letter from that. Okay, now you can actually get this within probably like 2 hours if you just call the IRS, depending on the wait times and all that kind of stuff. And you can actually just request them to perhaps fax you a copy of that immediately, so that way you don't even have to wait in the mail. And if you're wondering like, hey, who has a fax machine nowadays? Yes, I agree with you. The government, bodies are a little bit behind there, but don't worry. There's plenty of resources that outline how you can actually set up what is known as an electronic fax service using your email. So if you just go ahead and Google that or YouTube that, you are going to go ahead and find that. And hey, if you need additional support, this is exactly why there is no guru on the mountain here with all the answers. We are a community and we're all learning from each other. We're all helping each other. And all we are doing as the training creation providers is we're saying, hey, cool, let's just see what the community has learned. Let's see what all of the amazing people in the community are doing, what they are struggling with. And then we just compile all of that and create the trainings and provide that here, right? But all of the most up-to-date learnings, all of the most cutting edge things that are going on are happening inside of the community, not in these trainings. These trainings are literally just the aftermath of all the learning that actually happens inside of the community. So if you do end up running into struggles with that, make sure you are reaching out to the community, but you are able to go ahead and get that original EIN letter from the IRS, okay? Now, the other question would be for some of you is, what if I'm a sole prop and I never actually registered with the IRS? Of course, if you are a sole prop, then you probably never registered with the IRS. You're just going ahead and using your SSN number. If that is the case, then you do not have to worry about having that EIN letter, because what's going to happen is that in the upcoming training section, we're going to be walking you through how there's a completely different registration process, very similar, but a little bit different for sole props specifically. Now, I want to make this clear. If you are a corporation or an LLC, you're not going to be able to use that process that the sole props are going to use. Only the people who are sole props can use that process, okay? So if you're an LLC, this doesn't apply to you, right? You're going to have to go through and get the EIN letter. But for those people who are sole props, there is going to be some pro tips that we have for you that are going to allow you to do this without having that EIN letter, okay? So this, ladies and gentlemen, has been the training in terms of making sure you collect your business information before we actually get to the registration process. What's going to happen next is we're going to continue this process. We got a whole bunch of other steps that we got to go through, so that way you can make sure that you get approved for the first time. Fingers crossed. That is what we're going ahead and walking you through. Remember, we're in the training. We're walking through each of the individual training sections. You are doing a phenomenal job. Success doesn't find you. You have to go out and get it. I'm telling you right now, your dedication as you go through these trainings is paying off. Stay strong. Keep on moving forward. This has been Collecting Your Business Information. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this training section where we're going to continue our step-by-step process of getting your business phone number rocking and rolling. In this training, we're going to be talking about updating your business profile settings for SMS compliance. Okay, so this is going to be very important because all of the other steps that we're going to be talking you to are going to build upon this step by step by step. So after you've gone ahead and, purchased your phone number and all that stuff that we had before this step, now we're going to say, cool, let's go ahead and walk you through getting your business profile settings ready before your registration. Now, if you haven't purchased your phone number, I want to go ahead and make this clear. The settings that we are about to go ahead and update right now are not going to show up if you have not yet purchased a phone number, okay? So make sure you have gone ahead and done that. Otherwise, this training is literally not going to make any sense to you, okay? So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go over to settings at the bottom left inside of your business platform. And then from there, we are going to go ahead and click on business profile, which is going to be the default one right there, okay? And again, this is allocated here inside of the guide as well. We're going to go ahead and scroll down and we're going to see a section that says general right over here, right? So we see a section that says general. And what we're going to do is you're going to see there's 3 checkboxes right over here. We're going to walk you through what these 3 checkboxes have to say. Now, this is very, 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 very important. Even though the ClientKit team has done a job of trying to make sure that, hey, you know what? Everybody who uses the tool has something in this. Remember, the ClientKit is just the tool. We are partnering with the actual system and strategy that we are providing, so that way everything lines up according to what the actual strategy is. And so later on, we're going to be providing you the exact template messages to submit for A2P registration, and part of those messages are going to require these to match up with that, okay? So very important that you follow along with what we're about to do here, okay? So the very first thing is going to be make sure that this SMS compliance box is checked, which in this case is probably going to be checked automatically for you. Good. But then what we have to do is right over here where it says customize, we need to go in and actually put this specific text, okay? So what we do is we go over here, we have the guide here, you can either type it out or you can copy it. And of course, I've showed you this in other trainings where Command C or Control C is the keyboard shortcut, or you can always right click and copy there. And then you go ahead and click on customize. And then right over here, we're gonna now replace this. I went ahead and did Command A or Control A on the keyboard as a keyboard shortcut to select all, or you can just drag like that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit Command V or Control V on the keyboard in order to actually paste. Now, once I've gone ahead and pasted on here, what you're going to see, and you have to make sure that there's no period on the end, right? Because if I add a period, it says on here, hey, you got to make sure that one of these is in there. So you got to say there's no period at the end. Okay, very important. So to opt out, reply stop. Now, this is what you have to say because later on, based off the system that we have created for you. Remember, ClientKit is just a tool. Without the actual system and strategy to use the tool, it's pointless. And so according to the system we've created for you later on when we provide you those templates, this is what is going to be in there, okay? You then go ahead and hit save. All right. And then for the exact next part over here, we have make sure your SMS is compliant right over here. This is the second checkbox right there. And again, we got customize that we're going to have to go ahead and insert this right here, okay? And so this one says you are now opted into, and then right over here, it has your business name, okay? So very important. Sender ID, NutriFit Wellness, that's no problem. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and add general message end, and this is going to be, again, I'm going to paste this right over here, and then right over here, it's going to say you're sending opt-in to insert business name. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add this to where it says business name, okay? And what's going to do is that it's automatically going to put the sender ID right in here automatically, okay? And you can go ahead and read a little bit more if you want to put your mouse over this eye icon. It'll give you some more information on here. And it'll tell you, hey, the contents of this message are automatically going to be added to the first message, okay? So it's going to be just like that. And what I'll do is even in the guide, I'm actually just going to go ahead and paste this right over here. So that way, for those of you who are in the guide, you're going to be able to have that and exactly copied and pasted there. But the point being is that maybe in the future, if the trainings change, remember all of the most up-to-date learnings and trainings are happening in the community. This is just kind of like the compilation of the trainings after a couple months. But the point being is that if they don't use the sender ID, you'll understand why. You can always just replace it with your business name and manually type in. You can go in and type, let's say for example, it's Body Forge Fitness or whatever. You go to manually type that in. But in this case, they are still using the sender ID. So I'm going to go ahead and use the sender ID there. I'm going to then go ahead and hit save. Again, very, very, very important. Now, you'll see that it didn't update there. And if I go ahead and hit save, let me just go ahead and make sure that it did in fact save. So I want to go ahead and refresh. And let me scroll down a little bit so I can see. Yep. Okay, cool. All I had to do was go ahead and really just refresh the browser screen so to show me what exactly needs to show up there. Okay. Now the last one, we've already gone ahead and done this when we talked about the business email setup. However, we want to just go ahead and make sure that right over here, this email one is also properly set up. And you are going to make sure that your business name is located at the end of that default message that is located there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So this has been this specific training on updating the business profile. Really, the updated business profile needs to be these 3 right here, and they need to match exactly the way that we have shown you inside of this training. Ladies and gentlemen, every step you take is rock and rolling. You're doing amazing. Keep that momentum going. Do not stop here. We got more steps that we got to go to. You're doing an amazing job. This has been updating the business profile settings. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training where we are going to go ahead and help you get your contact page set up so that way you can go ahead and submit this to the TCR for your registration. So this is going to be the section that we promised you that we are going to basically have 99% of the assets already built out for you inside of your ClientKit account so that way you can go ahead and actually submit this for your application. So let's first talk about, well, what is the contact page? So when you submit your business phone number in the application, the TCR committee is going to ask for a contact page as an example for you to show them how people who are giving you their phone number are going to go ahead and give you their phone number and how you're going to ask for permission to text them. And so what they are looking for is they're going to be looking for, hey, do you have your terms of service? Do you have your privacy policy, right? Do you have a checkbox in order to provide the consent for that? And so the way that it actually needs to be structured is extremely specific because what they are looking for is extremely specific. So that way you can make sure that you are communicating the rights to the person who is giving you their phone number for the purposes of business text messaging, okay? And so normally you would have to go out there and actually build that contact form yourself, and then that way you could submit it for the application, okay? Now, here's the thing. We've already gone ahead and done the hard work. That's a part of the bonus that you get for being a member and a student of this program and active, whatever you did in order to make sure that your student status was active. So you would need this before you actually submit your application. So that way, when it comes time to submit that application, you are ready to go ahead and provide that link. And that way it's going to go ahead and provide you the highest chances of getting your application approved. Now, before we actually go ahead and walk you through the step-by-step of getting that contact page already set up for you, the question you might have is, hey, am I going to have to build this myself? Now, again, this is one of the amazing things that we've done with being able to have the partnership that we have and the amazing community that we have that allows us to build these partnerships to create a system and a strategy for you is because we're going to literally go ahead and create, copy and paste those templates into your account so that way they are ready to go ahead and rock and roll for you. And again, this is our gift to you. That's why we have the over delivery promise. The amount of value that you thought you were going to get compared to the amount of value that you actually got is always going to be in far excess. Holy over delivery, Batman. This is amazing. And so this is going to be one of those moments where we are going to go ahead and prepare for that and hand you that gift. So that way it is already complete for you. And so that's exactly what we're going to go ahead and walk you through inside of this section right now and walk you through how to be able to go ahead and get that set up. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Getting that contact page set up. What you are going to do is you are obviously going to go over to your business platform ClientKit. And then what you're going to do is the first thing is you're going to confirm the form that we have already built for you. So let's go ahead and check in on that right now. So we're going to go over to Sites. And then once you go over to Sites, you're going to go over to Forms. And now here's the thing, and this is the cool part about this, and this is the reason why I've said this 102 times, and I'm probably going to say it 102 times more, is that this is the reason why there's a system and a strategy. Do you remember that main website contact form that we have been using all along? Well, guess what? Because we are the people who are saying, you know what, we're building the system and the strategy based off of what we have seen work with the community. We already went ahead and designed this form so that way it is already A2P 10DLC registration compliant. Now, you didn't even know what A2P probably was when you started this Business Basics, right? Obviously now you know because we've educated you on it. Would you have known as a beginner to actually build your form so that way it was compliant to the legislation and the rules and the laws? Probably not. And so that's exactly why being a part of a community who's seeing ahead, further ahead than where you are, is so valuable. So if you actually go into the main website contact form, you're going to see that we've already gone ahead and prepared for you, and we've shown you in the previous training how to go ahead and actually link your terms and conditions into this. So that's already going to be there. All you need to do right now is just verify that this main website contact form is in fact inside of your ClientKit business platform. So that's going to be number one. And then the second thing you're going to go ahead and do is you're actually just going to go ahead and embed this into the A2P registration contact form page, which again is already built for you. So let's talk about how to actually go ahead and embed this. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to websites, okay? And then guess what? Just like the form, what you may not have picked up on is you're going to go over into your Health Pro website, which might be called your business name website or whatever, okay? And this is the exact same website template that we had already helped you set up, okay? Well, guess what? Maybe you saw it before, maybe you didn't, but there was actually a secret Easter egg inside there because we already, again, system and strategy, right? That whole thing is that we've already gone ahead and it has already been inside of your template all along. How cool is that? And so all you need to do is you just come over here and then you can click on edit in a new tab, or you can click on edit right there. So in this case, I'm gonna click edit in a new tab. And then all we're going to do is we're just gonna go in and we're going to just go ahead and connect the form over to this. Now, in this case, you'll see that it is already connected. However, what I'm going to do is I am just going to go ahead and kind of show you what it would look like if it wasn't already connected. So in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the trash icon. I'm going to go ahead and click on add element. From there, I'm just going to go over here and type in form. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here and click main website contact form. All right. And then just like that, it is going to go ahead and be embedded on there. Now, what we are also going to go ahead and do is come down over here and just make sure that the terms and conditions, this right here, this hyperlink, if I go ahead and select this, this is actually going to be, if I show you over here, this is actually going to be a custom value. This is something that we helped you go ahead and get set up in a previous training already. Okay, so make sure that you have gone ahead and gone through that and set that up. And the same thing with your privacy policy on this page. These both are required on the page as well, but this is again a custom value, so that way you don't have to link it in here manually. This is already being taken care of via the custom value. However, it is going to be very good for you to go in and check this. Now, for brand logo over here, you can come over here and right here, you can actually just come over here and upload your actual logo. You can go ahead and do that very, very easily, right? So just like that. Now, obviously, you're probably going to want to go ahead and make sure that it is actually something that is, looking good. So you probably want something that, has a transparent background there. That's probably going to be very important, right? So obviously, this is just an example, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but that's going to be very important for you to go ahead and make sure that you have good there, okay? And then the other thing that we're going to go ahead and do over here is I am going to go ahead and walk you through how we click save. And then obviously over here, you are going to have the SEO metadata. If it's not already populated for you, you can go ahead and do that. What I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and make sure that by the time this template is uploaded and this training is live for you, that this is already pretty much going to be populated for you, but you do want to just make sure that you confirm all of that. Okay, so then you can just click on update SEO metadata. And then from there, you can go ahead and click on publish. Once you go ahead and click on publish, again, right here, save, publish, I believe it is published now. And then I can go ahead and hit that preview link right over there. And you're going to see, okay, hey, this is what it's looking like. This is what it's looking like. Oh, so in this case, you see that brand logo, it wasn't the custom value. So I actually didn't need to put this one here, but hey, it's all good. But what I want to do mainly is I want to go ahead and confirm, right? So I want to confirm, let me move this up a little bit. You can see at the bottom left there, when I put my mouse over terms and conditions, it does in fact show up with our domain name and the terms. If I go ahead and click on it, you'll see that it is actually going to go ahead and open up the terms, which is very good. Awesome. Same thing here with the privacy policy. I'm going to go ahead and click on it and just make sure that it does in fact actually show up with the privacy policy. So that way that is already gone ahead and set up. Now, the same thing does also apply to the actual terms that's linked inside of the checkbox. You do want to go ahead and make sure that when you click on that, it does open up to the terms. Now, if that does not happen, what you need to do, let me help you troubleshoot for just a second here, okay? First thing you're going to want to go ahead and do is you are going to want to just go ahead and make sure that you do have the custom values inside of the bottom terms and condition privacy policy. And then you are going to want to make sure you go over to settings. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and right click, open link in a new tab. So that way it opens up over here. I'm then going to go down over to custom values. And I need to make sure that I do in fact have this right here set up properly. Now we went ahead and walked you through this in a separate training section. So you just want to make sure that that is there properly. So that's what's going to help with the bottom links there. And then the other thing is that you want to go over to sites. Again, this is your troubleshooting here, is that you go over to main website contact form. I then go in and click on this. I then go ahead and highlight terms and conditions. I go over to the link and I want to make sure that, again, the custom value, which is like these two brackets and then you got this custom value, that has to be there, okay? If you have all of the custom values properly, then it is going to work where you do not have to really do anything because it's already automatically going to be set up, which is the beauty of the system and the strategy, okay? And so what's going to happen here is that once you just confirm that right over here, this is working, as well as the 2 links at the bottom are working, okay? As well as making sure that your logo is looking good. So in this case, I would have replaced it if I had time here because it's just a demo training, but I would put it with a white transparent background on here, making sure that your logo over here is looking good as well. Once you've gone ahead and confirmed that, what you are going to do is you're going to come back over here to websites, to your website over here. You're going to click on the 3 dots at the top, go over to settings. And what you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that this path right here is saying, maybe you don't want to say A2P because you don't want the registration committee to think that you're only using this page for A2P. So you might say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and change this to contact-form, right? Cool. I'm going to hit update page. And I'm also going to go ahead and just take a second once this updates to go ahead and confirm that the path has been updated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on preview link, and then I'm just going to confirm in the actual URL right over there, it's on our domain name and it's just -contact form. Now what you're going to do is this right here, okay? This link is going to be valuable. We need to save this, or you need to remember how to get to this link again, because once we actually get into the application, this is the link that we are going to be submitting to the registration committee to show them this page, so that way they understand that we are in fact actually showing all of the rights for the person who's going to give us their phone number and their email address. Does that make sense? Very, very, very important. Now, I know that I helped you walk through kind of the mindset behind this and a lot of the troubleshooting, because quite frankly, there wasn't a lot of actual work for you to do, which is, again, the reason why we said, look, 99% of the work is already done, right? Like we already talked about the form. Guess what? That was already done. We already helped you get that set up before. You just didn't know that you were doing it for A2P. Guess what? The actual contact form, guess what? That was already set up as well. All you had to do was just make sure that it was properly embedded in there, right? So there wasn't a lot of necessarily work to do, but you did just have to go in and verify that everything was working properly. Again, this is important because the A2P regulation does require that if you are asking a prospect to give you their phone number, then you're going to have to inform them via an opt-in check-in form that does provide your terms, your privacy policy, and you go ahead and have all of that there properly. So again, everything's built for you. You just need to make sure that you are following the instructions. Do you see, ladies and gentlemen, how easy that we are making it for you, right? This is the beauty of a system and a strategy that we have compiled and outlined for you based off of what we are seeing working inside of the community. Remember, the community is where all of the latest and greatest learnings and trainings are dropped. And then every couple months, 3 to 6 months, maybe every once in a while, we come in and update these trainings just for the beginners who are coming in and, need a place to start. But then all of the latest and greatest of what is actually working right now is going to be found inside of the community. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now completed this training step in terms of getting your contact page set up. However, we are not done yet. In the next training sections, we are going to be walking you through how to actually go in and submit the registration and how to understand, hey, what's going to happen after that. Okay, so you're doing great. Your dedication is absolutely amazing. Each challenge that you're going ahead and overcoming as you're going through this process is one step closer to where it is that you're looking to go. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been this training section with setting up your contact page. We will catch you in the next training section. Drum roll, please. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this training section where we are finally getting to the part where you are going to now submit your phone registration, your phone number registration to go ahead and get approved for business purposes. All of the steps we have been building up to this exact training section. I have for you a surprise. I have for you my favorite meme of all time. This just shows you how excited I am for the training that we are about to get into right now. I hope you are excited as I am. If not, guess what? You ready to go? Get fired up. We're going to go ahead and crush this. You're doing a phenomenal job. Keep the momentum going. The first question you might have is, hey, is this going to be complex? Well, yeah, for businesses who don't have an awesome training program, an awesome community, an awesome business platform to go through, sure, yeah, they suffer a lot because there is no easy step-by-step process to go through, right? It's a very complicated task to get your application approved. But the beautiful thing about going through a program like this, having a business platform as a partner like ClientKit, is that we've not only going to provide you the copy and paste assets, but then their team has also gone ahead and worked to create a step-by-step wizard that's going to walk you through literally submitting your application with the government for that extremely, extremely easy. And then we're also going to go ahead and provide you those sample messages so you can go ahead and submit all of that in there. So we're literally going to be taking care of most of the hard work for you. All you have to do is just go in and actually follow the instructions step by step. Now, just a quick last minute reminder, right? This registration process is not going to apply to anybody outside the United States. This is only for people who are registering US phone numbers to text other US phone numbers. If you're operating outside the United States and do not have a US based phone number, this is not going to apply to you. Okay, so what is going to happen next? What is going to happen next is there are going to be two options, or I should say two paths that you are going going to go down, okay? If you are registering via an EIN number, this means that you are a corporation. You had to go out and get the original EIN letter, right? So you have an EIN that is registered with the IRS. If you have an EIN, you are going to, in the next training section, follow the training that says register via or by EIN. That is option number 1. Option number 2 is for all of you who are sole props. If you are a sole prop and you are running an unincorporated business and you do not have an EIN, then what you are going to do is you're going to follow the training that is for the sole prop. I'm going to repeat this very clearly for those of you who may not be listening and don't hear me very clearly. You are not going to do both of these trainings, okay? Please do not make that mistake. You're not going to do this and this. No, you're going to pick which path you're going to go down. Are you doing it via EIN or you are doing it via sole prop, and you are only going to go through that training section that is going to walk you through the specific path that is most applicable for you. Is that clear? I hope so. Okay, so guess what? I got another awesome quote for you here. The time is now. All of the work that you have been doing in order to prep. Let's go ahead and get this business application submitted and approved, so that way you have the capability to do business text messaging in your business for the history of your business, because it's a one-time process and it's going to make such a massive difference in your business. I can't wait for you to go ahead and knock this out. Let's keep the momentum going. Make sure that in the next training section, you only follow the path that's going to be applicable for you, the option that's going to be applicable for you. Let's go ahead and get this phone submission number taken care of. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training where we are going to be walking you through option 1, which is completing the registration process via EIN. Okay, so if you already know that you are going through this process, you know that you are an LLC, a corporation, you're going to be completing the process through EIN. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to walk you through that. Again, for most people, this is a very complicated task. However, if you follow along with this training, which is the system and the strategy, as well as the wizard that ClientKit, the business platform, has made it very easy for us to follow along with, this is going to be very, very easy for you. So let's go ahead and jump right in. What you are going to do is you are going to go over down to settings inside of your business platform. From there, you are going to go over to phone numbers. And then once you are under phone numbers, obviously we've been here before because this is where we had to come in and actually purchase your phone number. We're going to go over to the Trust Center. Now, the Trust Center is where all of the actual submissions are going to happen for a lot of these things, right? So you'll see on here, there is the A2P wizard that we've been talking about that ClientKit was able to go ahead and build out for the people of this community, as well as the ClientKit users, which is amazing. So they have the A2P wizard, as well as there's a number of other cool options on here that we're going to walk you through in upcoming training sections that's going to allow you to actually get priority when you are text messaging and calling. There's actual trust-based calling, so that way you're verified, how to get your ID, your caller ID to show up on somebody's phone as a business, so that way they're more likely to pick up. All of that is stuff that we'll talk about in the future. However, for right now, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and start the A2P messaging wizard so we can go ahead and actually start this process. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click on start registering now. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this as if I'm doing this from scratch. Okay, now everything's going to be screwed up. I might make mistakes on here live. Well, we're going to be in the journey together. Okay, so let's figure out how far I can actually go through this, because this is a test training video. We're going to see how far I can actually make it through this. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first point on here is going to say, hey, is this business entity that you are registering located in the US or Canada? So in this case, that's going to be yes. If yours is different, obviously that's going to be different, but this is primarily based for people who are in the US. Next up is going to say, hey, does your business that you are registering have a tax ID? Okay, so this is going to be that EIN number. So tax ID just means EIN number, all right? EIN number, okay? So in this case, because remember, what training are we going through? Option 1, by EIN. And so yes, we're going to say the business I'm registering has a tax ID, okay? And again, on here it tells you the form and all that kind of stuff from the IRS. So yes, it has a tax ID. We're going to go click on continue from there. From there, it's going to ask us what is the legal business name. Now, in this case, I am just going to use an example business name. However, this is what we got to make sure. This is very important, okay? You'll see that ClientKit is giving us this message here as well. This has to match what is going to be on the tax documents and the IRS and all that stuff. So we've talked about this in the past. This is very important. Let me see if we have a note on this in the actual guide as well. Yes, we do have it right here. We say, make sure the spacing is correct. Make sure that, hey, if it's on the EIN letter, the IRS letter, that's all caps, you got to put it as all caps. Make sure any commas, any hyphens, any periods, all of that must match exactly to the EIN letter that we walked you through previously. Okay, so we are getting feedback that companies that provide the information exactly as it appears on the EIN letter are getting their authorizations quicker because of the fact that it is an exact match. If it's not, then it may actually delay your process. So very important. Okay, so in this case, again, this is just an example. You are going to go ahead and make sure that yours is an exact match to your EIN letter. So right here, I'm just going to go ahead and put NutraFit Wellness, comma, LLC. Let's say, for example, that's exactly how it was on the EIN letter. Now, the business type in this case, I am going to go ahead and, depending on your case, in this case, I'm going to be putting that this company is a LLC, limited liability company. This is where I am going to go ahead and put in that I'm going to be providing them an EIN number. So that's different than, there's in different countries, they have CBN number, all this stuff. This is going to be an EIN number. Now, right over here, I am going to go ahead and enter in the registration number. In this case, again, you're going to enter yours. This is just going to be an example. So we're going to go ahead and put in an example right over here. Okay, so just like that, we got what should be a 9-digit number. All right, so let's see if I can actually get a 9-digit number here, right? So right over here, and then let me see if I can, there we go. Okay, awesome. Now, business industry, this is very important. We would recommend that you do not, hear me clearly, that you do not put that you are in the healthcare industry, because that is a misrepresentation. You are not in the healthcare industry, okay? People misunderstand this because healthcare means that you are a doctor, you're helping people with medical stuff. No. You are not doing that. What we really are is we are really an education company, okay? And so what we're doing is we're providing education to the people that we are helping. So that's primarily what we are. So that is going to be the recommendation. Now, obviously, if you know what you're doing and you say, cool, you know what? I'm going to put something else. Sure, by all means. But for right now, based off of the categories that we see on here, education is most likely going to be the most relevant to what it is that we are doing. So education is going to be on there. It's going to go ahead and put your business email automatically here because it's going to pull in from your business profile. So they just want to confirm that that is in fact what is going to be there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Now, website URL. Guess what? Ding, ding, ding. This is the reason why we've been walking you through this process the way that we have. So in this case, I'm going to come over here to the tab. I'm going to right click on my mouse, hit duplicate. So that way I save it in the one tab here. Make sure you do not X this out, okay? Because you're going to lose your work. Then I'm going to go back over to my website and I'm just going to go ahead and grab whatever our URL is. So website, go over to our website. I'm going to grab what the website is going to be, okay? So right over here, I'm going to grab nutrafitwellness.com. Now, in this case, you'll see that it is actually asking me to put HTTPS and all of that kind of stuff over here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and grab right over here, HTTPS nutrafitwellness.com. And what I like to do is I like to go ahead and open this up in an incognito window and just make sure that, hey, everything is working properly. Oh, look at that. It's not working properly, you see? And so this is the reason why we test. And so in this case, I think the reason why it's not working properly is because I got to go over to settings. You'll see what I did there was I held command or control on the keyboard and then I went ahead and hit settings. That went ahead and opened up here. So really quickly live, I'm going to go ahead and do this with you. I'm going to go over to domains. I'm going to go over to our domain over here. I'm going to go over to edit. And then I believe that it's asking me, I need to just go ahead and put the default page to that. And then also the 404 page, I can actually change that to the default home page as well. If I hit save on there, guess what? Ding, ding, ding. Let me go ahead and refresh. And there we go. Look at that. It is live now. If I go ahead and paste one more time, https://nutrafitwellness.com, enter. Boom, it is working now, right? So sometimes you got to troubleshoot and, this is obviously just reps. You kind of know, hey, what might actually be wrong there. Obviously, if you run into any issues, this is the reason why the community is there. This is the reason why this is a community-based program. This is really why all of the cutting edge support and training and everything that's working right now is in the community. So make sure that you go ahead and ask inside of the community. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right over there, HTTPS, the website. Now, business regions of operation. This is going to be US and Canada. From there, I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. Now, in this case, it is going to go ahead and ask for your business address. Okay, so in this case, it is going to pull from the business profile. So you want to confirm if that is actually correct or not. Now, the reason why this is important is that you need to make sure that this also matches your EIN listing. Very important. Whatever was on your actual IRS EIN letter, this has to match that as well. Okay, so make sure you are doing that properly. From there, we're going to go ahead and click on continue. Okay, from here, we're going to go ahead and enter in your first name, your last name, all this kind of stuff. Again, I'm going to see how far I can actually go with this because, of course, this is going to be an actual demo. So we'll see how this actually goes. Now, in this case, the email address here, because it's asking for authorized representative, I am going to actually go ahead and make sure that I put in my personal address. So this is going to be any person that can answer answer questions about this brand. So this is going to be my personal email address. So this is going to be johndoe@gmail.com. Phone number, again, this is going to be your personal phone number that you can receive text messages to. This is very important because they are going to potentially sometimes text message you to confirm some information. Okay, so in this case, we're just going to go ahead and enter in whatever our personal phone number is going to be. Okay, job position, in this case I'm just going to go ahead that we are the CEO. You can put director, I don't think it really matters here, but you can go ahead and go from there. You're going to click on continue. Now over here, this is very important. Right over here, it's going to ask you, do you do low volume standard or high volume standard? Now this is very important, is that you'll see that there's quite a big difference in the actual pricing here for the one-time fees, right? So if I go and I switch between high volume standard and low volume standard, you'll see that this low volume standard requires an EIN. It allows more than one phone number, which both of them do. But the difference is that this one allows for more than 600,000 segments a day, and this one allows for 6,000 segments a day. Now, segments, that kind of breaks down roughly to be text messages, okay? And so there's a chance, not only a chance, you are most likely not sending more than 6,000 text messages a day, okay? So you are not going to be doing this one. And not only that, but it's significantly more expensive as well. But obviously, if you are doing that, you would know. And so that way, if you know what you're doing, this is a different story. But for most of you, you're going to go ahead and do low volume standard, and then you are going to go ahead and acknowledge that there is going to be that one-time cost. We've already gone ahead and talked to you about that as well as the additional campaign fee of $12 per month, additional to that in accordance to the TCR rules. But again, we've already broken all of this down in the cost breakdown, because if you follow our instructions, that should break down to about $1.70, not $12 per month. So that way you will be good to go. Okay, so from there, we're going to go ahead and click on continue. And then right here, you're going to see that we are now going to have exactly what we need to do. So first point here, campaign use case. This is where we said, right? So you have all of these different use cases. What we are going to recommend to you, as well as ClientKit is recommending, is low volume mix. This is not only going to have what is the most appropriate for you. So you're going to be sending a mixture of messages, right? Not only are you going to be sending calendar reminders, but you're also going to be sending things like, like a client communication, and you're going to be sending different delivery notifications and customer care and potentially marketing and all of these things. And so low volume mix is going to be the best for you. Now, right over here, use case description. This is where you are going to make sure that you actually go into the guide for this training, because in there we are going to have the exact messages that you need to put highlighted in yellow. Okay, this is very important because it is important that you get this right, because this is your application. So right over here, I'm going to select this, and I'm going to come over here, and I selected it. And once I select it, I double clicked on it. I'm going to now go ahead and hit Command C or Control C on my keyboard. That's a keyboard shortcut. Okay, so you see on here, Command C is what I'm hitting. And in this case, it's going to copy it. I'm going to then come over here, and I'm going to do Command V, which is the keyboard shortcut. I'm going to backspace, so that way it just kind of cleans it up there, and we're good to go with that, all right? Next up we got is sample message 1. Now you see on here, there is also examples. However, again, we are providing you over here as well. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is going to be enter campaign detail. This is going to be sample message number 1. Again, I'm going to copy this right here, and this is going to be important over here, okay? So it's going to say, hi, Susan. That's fine, no problem. But what you need to do, and this is where you need to customize it, don't just copy and paste it verbatim, okay? You need to go, hi, this is John Doe. Obviously, do not put John Doe. You are not John Doe. You're going to put your name, okay? And then your business name, okay? Don't put what our business name is. We're going to put over here, NutriFit Wellness, okay? And then that's going to be the message right there. Now, real quick, I did just notice that in the examples especially, and this is when we were designing this, that this one has reply to stop and then this one doesn't. So in this case, I am going to just amend this right over here. And we're actually just going to go ahead and make sure that we add that reply to stop at the end there as well, because I think that's going to be good. And then also, we're just going to make sure, if it says Susan, let's go ahead and take out the brackets on here. I'll take that out of the actual template here as well. So that was just hi Susan, and then gives you the message there. Okay, awesome. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the second sample message. We're going to come over here, and we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. So it's going to say, hi Susan. I'm going to take out the brackets. And then I'm going to go ahead and put NutriFit Wellness consultation is coming up on September 1st right over here. Now, again, I like to look at the examples because that might actually add or subtract something from our messages here in case anything has changed, because ClientKit is up to date with this. So that way I can see, hey, you know what, if anything has changed, we are looking at this here. Okay, cool. Then what we're also going to go ahead and do is we are also going to make sure that we are checking both of these boxes. Okay, so both of these should be checked. That's going to be very important. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. After that, we just confirm, just look over everything one last time. Things are looking good. We go over to continue. And then here, this is going to be the last part. And you see, look how easy we've made it, right? Not only with the wizard, but also the copy and paste messages on here. We're going to now get into the end user consent, okay? So this first part, this is going to be, again, copy and paste, keyboard shortcut, right? Command C, Command V, backspace. Beautiful. Now, right over here, I'm going to put your business name. We're going to go ahead and put whatever your business name is, NutriFit Wellness. Well, don't put that, obviously your business name. And then right here, remember that contact form that we went ahead and built out together? Well, guess what? It's time for that to shine. And so what we're going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to go over here to website pages once again, and I am going to go ahead and pull up that form. Now, if you don't have these tabs open, what you can do is you can actually just go ahead and right click on the actual tab that is existing, and you can click on duplicate. And then that'll go ahead and duplicate whatever tab you are on. And then from there, you can go back, and then you can go over to sites, and then you can go over to websites, and then you can go over to your form, your actual website here, and then you can click on preview link. That's going to go ahead and open up this link right here, or maybe you saved it when we told you to save it earlier, right? Again, Command C is what I'm going to do, which is the copy actual keyboard shortcut, right? So you see on my keyboard here, Command C is what I am clicking, or Control C if you're on a Windows computer. You're going to go back, and then right over here, I've gone ahead and highlighted it. I'm going to now do Command, you see me holding Command V or Control V on your keyboard. Boom, just like that. It's now going to paste that right over there exactly the way that it is inside of the guide. Next up, we're going to have the opt-in keywords. Now, in this case, it looks like, again, this legislation is always changing. It looks like on here, they don't have the opt-in keyword anymore. They used to ask for the opt-in keyword, which is interesting that they don't ask for it anymore. Okay, cool. Well, in this case, for right now, we're just going to go ahead and skip the opt-in keyword because it looks like on the application that is no longer required for now. But sure, no problem. We're going to go ahead and continue. We have the opt-in message next, which is going to be copy again, Command C, Control C, paste, Command C, Command V, Control V, there we go. And then your business name right over here, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we put your business name right over here, okay? Now, what's going to happen next is you are going to go ahead and click on submit. See how easy that was? Now, in my case, I am not going to click on submit because this is just an example. However, you do want to just make sure that you followed the instructions that we have walked you through here. And if you have, this literally should be as easy as copy and paste. Like that is as easy as we have gone ahead and made this for you as a system and a strategy. So once you actually go ahead and hit submit, all right? Now, once you hit submit, congratulations. You've now gone ahead and submitted this. Now, this could take up to 7 days for your brand approval. So let me show you what I mean by brand approval, right? So let me go ahead and back over here to Trust Center. You'll see over here, so there is the brand approval and then there is the campaign approval, right? So the brand approval was like your name and your address and all that kind of stuff. And then the campaign approval was all those messages that we put in there, okay? And then it could take up to 4 to 6 weeks for the campaign approval to actually come back through to everything. So you do want to make sure that you are coming back regularly over here into phone numbers inside of your business platform client kit. You are coming over into the Trust Center. So let me show you where that was once again. You're coming over here to the Trust Center and you are checking on this pretty regularly. Now, the other thing, once you've gone ahead and submitted this, you may potentially also receive something called an OTP, okay? This is a potential OTP passcode that is going to be going to the mobile number that you provided, and you're going to have 24 hours to reply yes to that, okay? Again, think about how awesome this strategy and system that we're giving you is we're giving you this heads up. Because imagine if you went through this process and you missed that text message, right? And so you want to keep a lookout on your phone. Again, sometimes they have this, sometimes in some cases they do not because they're always updating the legislation. However, you do want to make sure that you are keeping an eye on your phone, especially for the first few days, because they are going to send you that OTP message in order to confirm. And then if they need more information, they might let you know that as well. If you do not reply within 24 hours, they will make sure that you restart your entire registration. So make sure that you do have all of that rocking and rolling properly. And then once you confirm that via text, you should be pretty much all good to just wait now for their entire process. And again, depending on the legislation, this text message may or may not be there. So if you don't receive a text message, don't freak out. Just keep an eye on your client kit dashboard regularly as well as your email. Okay. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what is next? Well, congratulations. You've submitted your application. So while you are waiting for this to actually go through, in the very next training, we're going to be walking you through, hey, while you're waiting, what are you able to go ahead and do up here, right? There's some things that you can turn on as additional features while you are waiting and exactly what you should expect going forward as well. So we're not done yet. Make sure you're following the steps step by step, because as Thomas Jefferson said, hey, I find that the harder I work, the more luck that I seem to have. You're going to only get luckier and luckier the more action you take. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training section where we are going to go ahead and walk you through how to go ahead and submit your A2P registration if you are a sole prop. So obviously you are going through this because you do not have an EIN number. Okay, now if you're an EIN number and you have an EIN number, you're a corporation, why the heck are you going through this? This is only for people who are sole props, okay? So this is only if you do not have an EIN, and then you need to actually go in and submit the application. Now, normally, this is a very complicated task for business owners, but we've gone ahead and put a lot of energy, a lot of time into making this system so that way it's literally copy and paste, streamlined for you, okay? And so that's one of the amazing benefits that not only are you going to get from this program, but also from ClientKit. So we're going to go ahead and walk you through this step by step by step. So let's go ahead and do that together right now. What we are going to do is we're going to be obviously inside of your business platform. We are going to go ahead and click on settings at the bottom left. Once you click on settings, we are then going to go over to phone numbers. And then this is going to be where we actually purchased your phone number previously. But this time around, we're actually going to go ahead and click on Trust Center. Now, Trust Center is going to be where all of the different things related to your phone numbers and the carriers is going to live. Okay, so obviously right over here, you do see that A2P wizard that we have been talking about thus far, which is one of the amazing perks for our community and using ClientKit. But also there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to be talking about in upcoming training sections that actually allow your phone number to get trusted more by the carrier. So that way there's a caller ID, you get bumped up when you actually send out text messages, when you actually call people, it's actually verified. So that way it doesn't get actually filtered out. Maybe you've seen lately the carriers are doing this like spam likely kind of thing. All of that is how do you get your business to be more and more legitimate? And that is going to be a bunch of other features that ClientKit has for that. But for right now, we're going to just go ahead and, for the purposes of this training section, focus on the A2P wizard for you right now. Now, from here, you are going to notice that obviously A2P messaging, unverified, not yet started on the brand or the campaign side. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and scroll down. We are going to go ahead and click on Start Registering Now. Now, we're going to go ahead and do this together so that way you can see what it's going to look like. First and foremost, is the business entity that you're registering located in the US or Canada? In this case, we are going to say yes, because remember, a sole prop is a type of legal entity like we talked about in the corporation training, okay? So in your case, you're going to put yes, because of course, if you're in the US and Canada, which hopefully you are if you're going through this training, okay? Now here, this is where the big key difference happens here, okay? Is the business that you're registering have a tax ID? In your case, you are going to put no, right? This is the reason why you're doing the sole prop option. And so in your case, you do not have a tax ID. Okay, so it's going to be no. And then you go and click on continue from there. From there, it's going to ask you, hey, what is your business's or your first name and last name? Okay, now the reason why it says or your first name or last name is because obviously you are doing this as a sole prop. You do not have an LLC. So in this case, right, you're going to be saying, hey, I am a sole prop and I am the business right now. And so therefore, you're just going to go ahead and enter in your legal name of the person who's going to be sending the message, which is your legal name. Now, obviously, if you did go ahead and proceed, because technically you could get an EIN or you could register with the IRS as an organization, that's a whole separate like exception case. For most of you who are sole props, you're probably just going to enter in your first name and your last name as it legally is there. Now, it's very important. If your actual legal name includes your middle name, you need to maybe go ahead and include that as well. So you're going to go ahead and put, John, and then in this case, I'm going to put Michael Doe, okay? So in this case, if John Doe actually had a middle name, okay? So legal name, very important there, okay? Continue. From there, you're just going to go ahead and enter in your business address. Now, this is going to be, when you say business address, this is in your case, because you're a sole prop, this is going to be the address that the IRS has on file, okay? So sometimes some of you move around, maybe you change your lease or something, whatever the address that the IRS has on file is what it is that you're going to put right here. This is important because what the TCR, the committee, is looking at is they have access to the IRS's records, and so they are checking to make sure that this is the address that is matching based off of the IRS's records, okay? So you just want to confirm that right over there, very important. From there, you then go over to the authorized representatives. Now, authorized representatives for the email address and the phone number, right over here, this is going to be your personal email and your personal phone number. So that way, if the TCR committee actually needs to reach out to you, they can actually do so if they need more information or they need to confirm any information and stuff, or most importantly, if they need to text message you for an authorization, which many times they often do as well. So over here, you're just going to go ahead and put in your first name and your last name, and then you are going to go ahead and put in your personal address, your email address. So let's say johndoe@gmail.com, and then whatever your personal phone number is. Again, this is not your business phone number that you registered inside of the business platform. This is your personal phone number. Position, whatever you decide to put, CEO, director. In this case, let's just put CEO, no problem there. From there, we're going to go ahead and click on continue. Now, this is where it's going to be very important. You are going to have both a sole prop brand and a sole prop campaign, again, this is very different than EIN. Sole prop, it's going to say, hey, you have your brand, you're only allowed to have one phone number, and then at the same time, an EIN is not required. Exactly what we've been telling you all along, right? And then the sole prop campaign is going to allow you to send up to 3,000 segments per day. Now, what is a segment? It's roughly approximately the size of a text message. Sometimes it gets a little bit complicated with like multimedia messages and stuff, but you can basically imagine that a segment is a text message. So you can send up to 3,000 text messages per day, which for 99.9, if not 100% of everybody is going to be more than enough. You're very rarely ever going to send more than 3,000 text messages. Now, the other point that's important to understand about this, okay, is that only one number is allowed to be linked to a sole prop campaign. Once approved, your default number will be linked automatically, and you can also update the number post-approval, okay? So this is very important. In previous trainings, we said like, hey, if you're starting a sales team or something like that, you might have multiple phone numbers, right? And we talked about this. If I go ahead and actually just duplicate this tab, and I go over here into the actual phone number section, right over here, manage numbers, you'll see that in this account, we have two phone numbers. For a sole prop registration, only the default number is going to get A2P approved. Very important. Now, obviously, if you're going to be running a sales team and have multiple phone numbers, then why are you still a sole prop, right? You should be an LLC. So for you, this is not really going to be an issue. Now, the other thing is that it is also going to go ahead and let you know of the one-time fees. We've already gone ahead and broken this down for you in the cost breakdown training. So that's important. We've already talked about this. And then over here, you'll see that it also say that there's an additional fee of $2.25 per month for the sole prop. So this is going to be that campaign cost that was regularly there. Sometimes it says up to $12 per month. In this case, $2.25 per month. Sometimes it could be $1.70. Sometimes, these things fluctuate within that range that exists there, but that's roughly what it is going to look like there. Okay. So I think in this case, this actually did come down from the cost breakdown training for the one-time cost. This actually looks, I think, a little bit lower maybe. So anyways, the point is that sometimes these fluctuate here and there, but not a big deal. We're going to go ahead and acknowledge, and then we're going to go ahead and click on continue. Now, once we get over here, this brand name that we're going to go ahead and put, because we are still doing the sole prop, we're not going to put it on our brand name that we had you do before. This is still probably going to be whatever it is you see is just use your own name if this brand is not an organization. So we're not an organization, we're not an LLC, right? So we're just going to go ahead and put over here, in this case, I'm going to put John Doe, and then over here, business industry. Now listen up. Based off of what we have seen here, what you are going to put is primarily going to be education based. We are an education. You are an education. Even if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, whatever you might be, you're primarily in the education field, okay? What you are not going to put is you are not going to put that you are in healthcare. Healthcare means that you are a doctor, you're helping people with medical conditions, and that has HIPAA compliance and all this other rules and regulations around that, okay? That is not what we do. We're not cheating the system here. We're not healthcare professionals. We do not prescribe medication. We don't do any of that. So we're primarily just providing education to our clients and helping them along the way there, okay? Then you are going to go ahead and provide a phone number there. Now, again, it says on here to confirm OTP verification. That means that they are going to text message you after you submit this entire application because of the fact that they're going to ask you, hey, did you submit this? Is this legit? All this stuff. So this is in fact going to be your personal number, okay? So we're going to go ahead and enter in your personal number. All right. And then we go ahead and click on continue from there. Now, next up, the campaign use case is going to be sole prop. Now, in the past, for EIN and stuff like that, there's something called low volume mix. However, the regulation did recently just update, so that way sole props don't have a campaign use case that's low volume mix. In fact, you just have your own campaign use case, which is sole prop, which is not an issue. Awesome, no issues there. Next up, use case description. This is where we are actually going to go ahead and go into the actual guide for this training, because it's very important that you copy and paste the messages exactly the way that we're going to provide them for you. And the reason why is because if you remember, when we set up your business profile, this is exactly the same settings that we set up for that. So it's very important that you follow along, okay? So what we're going to go ahead and do, let me bring my virtual keyboard here. I'm going to open up the guide. I'm going to double click, Command-C or Control-C on the keyboard in order to go ahead and copy, and then Command-V or Control-V in order to paste, okay? Just like that. Boom. Shakalaka, we've gone ahead and pasted that. Beautiful. Now, obviously, they do have examples there. Sometimes these things do change, and so we like to keep up to date with what's going on here as well. And I think for right now, it should be good. Of course, this is a community-based program, so if anything does change, the latest and greatest updates about what might be going on here is going to be inside of the community, so you want to make sure that you are keeping an eye out there in case anything does change, because these trainings are a little bit more static. What is ongoing is going to be inside of the actual community. Next up we have is going to be the first sample message. We're going to go ahead and copy that. Right over here, you'll see, right over here, guide, Boom, copy. Now, in this case, it's going to be a little bit tweaked, okay? Because remember, you are a sole prop, and your business name, even though you might be doing DBA or something else, your business name is actually going to be technically your name, okay? And so that's the reason why what you're going to do here is you're going to put, this is John Doe, and then from... and then you can just take out the from, because as a sole prop, the message is going to be slightly different. Okay, now this is going to be one of those things that if you do get rejected, you can come in and change this. However, from what our understanding is right now, that if you are a sole prop, you are just going to go ahead and put, hey, this is John Doe, because remember, you are the company here, right? And so therefore you go from there. Next message on here, you just come over here, right? Susan, right over here, your John Doe consultation. You can do that if you would like. Or you could also change it and tweak it a little bit, and you could go your consultation with John Doe, and then you put your name after that. So you can go ahead and tweak it so that way it makes a little bit more sense, because remember, this is going to be specifically for the sole prop. It's a little bit different for the EIN. From there, we go ahead and click on continue. Next up, we're going to go ahead and pay attention here, right? So right here, this is going to be the consent. We're going to show the committee that we actually understand what is going on here. So we're going to copy the message from the guide, and we're going to go ahead and put our business name, which as a sole prop, your business name is just going to be your name. And then right here, it's asking for the actual contact form that we went ahead and helped you set up previously. So we're going to go ahead and grab that link. So we're going to go ahead and go over to duplicate. And then once you go ahead and click on duplicate over here, because it opens up a new tab, I don't want to lose this tab or exit out. I go back, I'm going to go over to sites. I'm going to go over to websites. I'm going to go over to our website. I'm going to just make sure preview link, it's working. I got my contact form. I'm going to copy that. Okay. And then sometimes I like to double click to grab that https:// form. Okay. And again, I went ahead and did Command C, Control C on the keyboard. Okay. And then I come over here, I highlighted it, and guess what I'm going to do? Command V or Control V. Boom. Paste it right there. Very, 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 very nice. Okay. Awesome. Next up from there, we have our opt-in message. Now, they used to, and again, this legislation is always updating. So they used to actually have an ask for keyword opt-ins right over here, but no longer are they asking that. So for right now, you can ignore that. But if they do bring that back, that is going to be inside of the guide as well. And then right over here, you are now opting in to John Doe, right? Because that is going to be the actual business name, which is just your name, okay? From there, now I'm not going to click on submit. However, you want to make sure you've confirmed everything, and you are going to click on submit if you're ready to submit. Of course, they do have the examples on there for you to be able to reference as well. Of course, this, what I'm showing you is just an example and a test. I'm not actually going to go through with this because this is all just test information, but for you, you are going to go ahead and proceed to submit that. And then once you actually submit that, this is very important for you to understand, is that you might actually get a text message that is going to ask you, okay, to reply within 24 hours. Otherwise, you have to start this entire registration process over again to confirm that you have in fact submitted an A2P registration. When you get that, you are going to go ahead and reply yes. So that way they are getting that confirmation. Very, very, very important. Now, what's going to happen is that you might actually end up seeing, let me go back over here so I can show you, is you might end up seeing that your brand registration actually might even go through within the first, very, very quickly. But then your campaign registration might take up to 4 to 6 weeks, or it might be much sooner than that as well. So what you want to do is that in addition to the text message, keeping an eye on your email, as well as keeping an eye on coming back to your business platform, phone numbers, Trust Center, keep an eye on this to make sure that, hey, has it been approved? Has it not been approved? So that way you are up to date with what is going on. And so as long as you go ahead and confirm that text message, you're all going to be set up. Now, this text message is something new that they are doing. Are they still doing it? Most likely. But if you don't receive a text message, you don't really freak out immediately because they might have gotten rid of the text message. But the point being is that you just want to keep an eye on your text messages that you did put for the phone number, right? This is not the business phone number. This is your personal phone number that you put in the application. You want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on that as well as inside of your ClientKit account, and then you'll be all set. Ladies and gentlemen, what is next? Well, first off, congratulations on submitting your actual application. This does not mean that you just get to sit around now, because guess what? We're now going to actually walk you through, hey, what are some of the other settings that you can turn on in the meantime while you are waiting for your approval to go on, as well as we are going to go ahead and talk about, hey, how do you manage phone calls in ClientKit? How do you manage text messages in ClientKit? You're still going to continue your knowledge and your training to develop the skill set. So that way, once your approval goes through, you're going to be rock and rolling with the text messages. So do not stop here. There's still going to be additional training sections that we are going to go ahead and walk you through as well. So it's going to be very important. So don't stop yet. You're doing great. Keep up the momentum. Keep on going. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been option 2, how to go ahead and complete your A2P registration as a sole prop. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training section and congratulations. You've gone ahead and submitted your phone number for approval, your registration, and fingers crossed it does go through. And so while you are waiting to hear back from the TCR for your registration, we want to go ahead and walk you through what's going to happen and what it's going to look like. Now, a couple quick important notes to this. We said this before. I want to go ahead and say this one more time, is that registering a phone number only applies to text messaging, okay? Once you have obtained your phone number from the very get-go, you can actually go ahead and start making phone calls immediately, but not text messages, okay? So at this point, if you want to go ahead and make outbound or inbound and receive phone calls and all that kind of stuff through ClientKit, you can actually do that even now during the approval process. But for SMS text messaging, you will need to wait for that approval before you can start sending out text messages. Otherwise, they will get blocked and they will not go through. Okay, so let me break down what it's going to look like for your approval. The very first part of this is what is known as brand approval. And so in a very short period of time, you are going to see that box that is inside of your ClientKit account. Now, it may look like this. It may have changed because software companies change their UI all the time. But what you're going to see is that you're going to see that brand approval, if you followed our instructions properly, everything looks good, you're going to see that approval come in relatively quickly, because that means that the TCR committee has gone ahead and confirmed your company information if you inputted that properly, and they've gone ahead and reviewed and approved that. Okay, so you might even see that the very day, the first day that you complete and fulfill that application. Okay, now if you end up getting that rejection is going to look like this. Okay, it's going to say unverified, and it's going to say that the brand recognition has been rejected. Okay, so that means that they were not able to verify your brand, they were not able to verify your company, and so you will need to make sure that you resubmit that again. Make sure you go ahead and follow the instructions exactly as we have outlined, so that way you can go ahead and get that brand registration approved. Okay, next up after that is the campaign approval. That is the second box underneath brand. This is what it may look like depending on how it looks like on your screen, is you're going to have campaign on there. This is what it looks like once it is actually approved. Now, what if it actually gets rejected? Now, it may get rejected. It's possible, right? Because this is a registration process. And what's going to happen is that sometimes it will tell you what the rejection reason is, but sometimes it's also some generic general reason that you don't exactly know why it got rejected, right? So if it gets rejected, it may end up looking something like this with a rejection reason on there. So sometimes the rejection reason is good. It kind of tells you what you got to resubmit. Sometimes it doesn't, and you have to go in and make sure that you're like, cool, I got to review my messages. I got to see how I can improve that. And obviously this is the reason why we've built this as a community-based program, because let's say, for example, the community goes in and says, hey, I got approved. Awesome. We know that the training is going good, right? And we've said this many times before, that because this is a community, all we are doing as the training creation providers, right? All we are doing is, we're not some guru on the mountain that has all of the answers. We are just saying, hey, all of the latest learnings are happening inside of the community. We're all supporting each other to get up the mountain. And all we do is say, cool, every once in a while, let's say every couple months, we're like, cool, you know what? Since all the learning is happening in the community, let's compile all of that learning so that way it's easy for somebody new coming in to be able to go through the trainings. But if you're waiting for the trainings to be created or for the trainings to be updated, you've already missed the boat. All of the latest training is happening inside of the community. So you want to make sure that, hey, if your A2P gets approved, drop it inside of the community so that way you're helping other people to know, like, hey, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. If it gets rejected, make sure you go ahead and let the community know as well. So that way, like, cool, we know that, rejections are happening right now. We can start to dig into, like, hey, figure out those people who got approved versus those people who didn't get approved. We can all learn as a community. So this is very, very important. Right now, we are hearing that under current conditions, because A2P is relatively new right now, it can take sometimes up to 4 to 6 weeks. And so that is what it potentially may look like. But then once it all actually goes through, you are going to see the verified A2P messaging on there. You are going to see the brand approved on there, as well as the campaign approved on there as well. And so you do want to make sure that you are checking back continuously, regularly here to your A2P inside of your ClientKit to make sure to see, hey, do you get approved or do you not get approved? And so we would also suggest that during this time that you are waiting for approval, there's another thing that you can turn on, which is called the Shake and Stir Trust calling, that you can go ahead and turn on while you are waiting for approval. So let me go ahead and talk to you about that very quickly. So what you do is that inside of your ClientKit account, there is going to be a section that says Shake and Stir, or it might be called Trust Calling. So what this does is it actually increases the rate of your calls. So that way, when you're calling, let's say you're calling clients, prospects, whatever, it is going to show up as a verified caller. Now, this is something that ClientKit has gone ahead and made free for those people who are signed up in the community, in this program's ClientKit accounts. Okay, so you are going to be able to go ahead and turn that on, which is another awesome feature that ClientKit has provided this community. So this is what it's going to look like. You click on it right there, and then you just go ahead and click on start registration. It's very, very easy for you to be able to go through. And then once you've gone ahead and done that, this is what it's going to look like, verified. So that way you do have that way to get increased answer rates because you are a verified caller. So make sure you go ahead and turn that feature on while you are waiting for approval. So that is something that you are going to be able to do while you are waiting for that approval. Okay, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what's next is that we want to make sure, hey, while you are waiting for approval, do not stop. This is very, 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 look how many varies there are. Do not stop. Very important. Okay. You can absolutely still continue through the training. You can continue to get the things in your business set up. You don't want to be sitting around like a wannabe entrepreneur who's wearing the failure uniform and says, oh, you know what? I got to sit down for the next 4 to 6 weeks and I can't do anything and can't work on my business. You can literally go out there and start working on your automations, getting your SMS text messaging automation set up. So that way, once it does go through, guess what? You can immediately turn those automations on. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, email automation that you can go ahead and get set up. There's a whole bunch of other stuff inside of your specific business that you can go ahead and get it set up, not only in the rest of these training sections, but other trainings that you're going to be able to go ahead and go through as well. So please, please, please do not sit around. The professional entrepreneurs don't just sit around. They keep the momentum going. And so that's what I want to go ahead and remind you of. Hey, success doesn't just find you. You have to go out and get it. So your dedication is paying off. Keep up the forward momentum. Stay strong. You're rocking and rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the training section on waiting for the phone number approval, exactly what that's going to look like, what you're going to go ahead and turn on, which is the trust-based calling in the meantime. But again, don't stop yet. There's more training sections for you to go through and more trainings for you to go through because you're doing an amazing job at getting your business set up, because this is the road and the path to getting success in business. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we will catch you in the next training section. All right, welcome to this training section where we're going to be talking about how to manage phone calls inside of ClientKit. Okay, so this is going to be very important so that way you understand, hey, how is your phone call system for business purposes going to look like? And then this is the benefits of having a business phone number, is that it allows you to be able to make and receive calls. And the beauty is that you can do it all through your computer. You can even do it through the mobile app. That is the ClientKit mobile app as well. And so it's very awesome because you can literally do this without even having to have to go out and buy another iPhone or something like that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what it looks like for phone calls specifically. Now, I do want to go ahead and make this clear. This does not include text messaging. We're going to have a different training section that is going to break down how to manage text messaging inside of ClientKit. That is not going to be this specific training. This is going to be only talking about phone calls specifically. Okay, so there are going to be two ways that we are talking about managing phone calls via ClientKit, which is going to be via the conversations tab as well as via the contact page. So let's go ahead and break that down and talk about each of those two methods. So once you are inside of ClientKit, and if you go over to the conversations tab, okay, so if I click on the conversations tab here, and then I go over to all, you'll see that I got a couple of, conversations going on here, right? And then I go over to, let's say, LeBron James, okay? So let's say LeBron James, I got his phone number on file here, I have his email on file here. What I can do right over here is, guess what? I can go ahead and just click on this phone icon right over there, and it's going to allow me to go ahead and actually call this contact directly, right? So if I go ahead and click on this, you'll see call. It's going to go ahead and actually start dialing the number. I'm not going to go ahead and dial it because, I don't want to have to talk to LeBron James right now, but you get the point. And so it's going to ask you over here inside of your permissions, do you want to use your microphone? You hit allow, and then from there, it's going to go ahead and allow you to go ahead and use your microphone to talk to whoever the contact is, right? So that's one way that you can do it via the conversations tab. Of course, if you actually want to go in and just search for the contact, you can go ahead and do Command K or Control K as a universal search, and then search the contact name there as well. And then you did see that once you are on the call with somebody, it is going to show up right over there at the top, right? Of course, you can also go in and click on this phone icon here, and then you can actually go in and say, cool, let me show me my contacts. I can search a contact and call that way as well. Or I can go ahead and just dial a phone number directly through there as well. And if you had multiple phone numbers, you can actually pick which phone number you want the call to go through. Some really, really awesome business features here that, of course, we're just showing you the ABCs, but obviously down the road, there's going to be more advanced things that we can talk about here as well. Now, the other thing I do want to mention is that all of this that I'm showing you in the browser does also apply for the ClientKit app. And so if you do want to make some phone calls through your actual normal phone, you can also do that as well, okay? Obviously, the interface is going to look different, but it's going to be through the actual mobile application, okay? Now, the other way, let's say, for example, I went over to contacts, and then I went in and I manually opened up, let's say, Elon Musk's contact, right? From here, I can go ahead and right over there, call this contact directly from inside of the contact page as well. And of course, like we've talked about many times before, if I went over here to the search, I could have gone to the exact same page by going there, and then I could go in and type in Elon Musk over here, and then it would go ahead and open up Elon Musk's contact page, and then I can go ahead and actually call him right over there via the phone number that is shown there. And then if and when you have call recording turned on, which is a whole separate training section where we walked you through that, is that the call recording will also then show up in the actual feed that you are having with the client, right? So if I go ahead and show you with the contact over here, when I was on the LeBron James contact, right? If I go over to LeBron James, you'll see that from the phone call that we've made in the past, we had this outbound call recording that is showing up right here because this is the exact recording of the call. And obviously there's regulations around this and all that kind of stuff. We walked you through that in a separate training, but I just want to walk you through exactly how that looks like to manage those phone calls inside of ClientKit. How cool is that, right? Literally inside of your business platform, you now have a fully functioning business phone number. Very, 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 very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be method number 1 and method number 2, which is via the contact page. We've gone ahead and walked you through that as well. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and walk you through, hey, which method should you use? Do you use the conversations tab? Do you use the contacts tab? Well, guess what? Each one is going to have a different use case. Depending on your situation, you might use different methods. It's just important to be well versed and understand, hey, all of the different methods as possible. Are these the only methods? No, I'm sure there's others in here as well. These are the big ones that we wanted to at least walk you through the ABCs for. And then what we want to do is, hey, add yourself as a contact inside of your business platform and go into ClientKit and call yourself. You don't want to wait until you actually need the feature and then you come to realize later on, oh man, it's not working the way that I wanted it to. Oh man, what's going on here? So what you want to do is add yourself as a contact, add your spouse, your family member, whatever, go into one of your contacts and actually test using, hey, how does it work on the conversations tab? How does it work on the contact tab? Because guess what? This is a skill. And until you actually do the reps, right? We already know this. If you do the reps, then you're going to get the skill. If you don't, and you only just listen to these trainings and that's all you do, then you're not going to actually acquire the skill. So make sure that you are doing the action and you pause this training and go ahead and do that. Because guess what? Your hard work is going to only continue to pay off if you actually do the action, because every single lesson or every single obstacle that you face is going to shape your ability to be a successful entrepreneur. You want to keep the momentum going on, but it's not just momentum of watching trainings. It's momentum of doing the action that is necessary to acquire the skills in order to make your vision and make that into a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the ABCs of how to manage phone calls inside of ClientKit. We will catch you in the next training section. All right, we're back. And in this training, we are talking about how to manage SMS text messaging inside of your business platform, ClientKit. We're going to walk you through some of the biggest methods to be able to manage text messaging, because guess what? You're probably going to be using text messaging pretty regularly. And so what we're going to walk you through is how to actually go in and say, cool, how do I actually send text messages? How do I actually go through this process? We're going to walk you through some of those different methods. Now, I do want to make this clear is that these methods are only going to apply to text messages that are coming in, and how to send those messages outbound. Outbound means you're sending them out via one-on-one text messages, okay? We are not going to be covering how to send out automated or bulk text messages inside of this specific training. There's some rules that you have to follow around that. And so we're not going to be talking about automated or any of that inside of this specific training. So let's just make that clear, okay? So that's what I went ahead and just addressed right here. What about automated text message and reminders? Again, don't worry. We have an entire training that's going to be walking you through how to set up automated SMS, how to send out calendar reminders, how to do that. That is an entire automations training. But right now, inside of this training, we are just going to be walking you through what does it look like on the one-on-one format. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the two different methods on here. The first one is going to be through the conversations tab. So if you go over to conversations, in this case, I don't have any, I have one that's unread. I'm going to go over to all. Go over to our buddies, LeBron James and Elon Musk over here, okay? And then right over here, you are going to see that it does allow me to go ahead and send an SMS text over to LeBron James, right? So I can come over here and I can say, hi, how are you, LeBron? You and I are buddies, okay? And then right over here, it does give me the option down here that I can go ahead and hit send. I can actually go ahead and click clear over here as well. Now, the other thing I can also do, and this is a very cool feature, is if I click on this, it'll actually allow me to schedule my SMS as well, which is very, very cool. And it does also show me, hey, what date do you want to do that and what time do you want to do that? And then the time is specifically going to decide, hey, this is going to be the contact's time zone, and you can decide to change that as well if you actually want to. Okay, so that's scheduling your SMS. The other couple cool things on here, obviously you can attach files as well. You can add emojis on here. You can insert templates as well. You can also request payment. And then they also do have other things you can add on here, right? So let's say, for example, you wanted to add a different token. So a token is going to be filling in some sort of information from the actual contact's profile. This might be a little bit more advanced, so I'm not going to go through it right now, but I just want you to know that that does actually exist there. Okay, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this. Now watch what's going to happen here, okay? Because I'm going to do what we told you not to do, which is that for this specific account right now, the A2P process has not been approved yet, okay, for this specific business and for this account, because it's just a demo account. So guess what? I'm going to go ahead and send this, and let's see. Okay, again, do not do this. If your A2P is not approved, do not do this, okay? And so what you're going to see, just like that, it does go ahead and give you that error right over here, okay? So let me see if I can go ahead and I'm going to zoom in, and you'll see that it tells me, if I go ahead and put my mouse over that asterisk right over there, it does tell me, hey, A2P registration is pending. You're sending a message using a local or mobile number that does not have A2P registration taken care of yet. If you actually want to go ahead and send out text messages immediately, you would need to first purchase a toll-free number and complete the registration for that. We've already walked you through what that looks like. If you don't know what we're talking about when we say toll-free number, then make sure you go through that training section where we explain, like, hey, it's double the cost, but it allows you to send text messages immediately if you decided you want to do that. But our recommendation was not to do that. But again, you see how it says unsuccessful. This is the reason why, is because A2P has not been registered yet, okay? However, I just wanted to show you what it is going to look like. And then there's these three dots right over here, right? So if I zoom in, you'll see these three dots right over there. And then if I click on details, it's also going to show me, hey, this is the number that it's coming from. This is who that text message is going to. It also tells me, hey, who is the user who is sending that message, right? And then it does tell me that that message was failed because of the reason that we just talked about, okay? So again, this is what we would say, do not do this. We're just showing you what it would look like if you were going to send out a text message via SMS or email. Very important on here. Now, the other couple important things, and we might mention this in other trainings, we might not, I just want to go ahead and make this clear over here, is that there are also these DND options. DND means do not disturb. So let's say, for example, a client says, hey, you know what, stop messaging me or something. Then automatically it's going to go ahead and turn these on. Or you can say, you know what, this client told me that they don't want to receive emails. So just so that way you don't automatically send them automated emails and stuff like that, you can actually turn on DND on a per client basis as well, or per contact basis, rather I should say over here, right? So you can go ahead and turn that on there as well. But that is how you would do it via the conversations tab. Now on the actual contact page, very similarly to how we've shown in the past, you can go over to contacts, or you can go to the quick search on here. You can go ahead and click on, let's say, whoever you want to contact. In this case, let's say Elon Musk. It's going to have the exact same platform prompts right over here in terms of SMS versus email. You can have an SMS on here. It does also allow you to schedule the message. All of everything else that we just talked about is exactly the same. And then over here, hi Elon, let's go to Mars. Okay. Let's say, for example, I sent this. Now it is also going to go ahead and probably give me unsuccessful, exactly the same reason that we just talked about, but I'm just walking you through what it looks like to be able to go ahead and send text messages via the contact page here as well. So those are the two primary ways that you are going to go ahead and send out one-on-one messages. Of course, like I said, bulk messages are going to be via automations that we'll talk about in a different training. And then obviously this is going to be how you can reply back to text messages as well. Okay, now are there other features and other kind of ways that you can send out text messages? Sure. Which method are you going to use? We're just showing you the ABCs, so that way once you want to do something in your business, let's say for example it's a little bit more advanced, you know what the building blocks of that are, and you know what the tools on your tool belt are, so that way you can actually go out and do the thing that you're looking to do in your business. And so there's going to be different situations for you to use maybe the conversations tab versus the contact page, but now you know exactly how to do both. And then guess what you're going to do? You're going to go out there, and if you are, this is very important, if your phone number is already A2P 10DLC approved, then you can go out there and test this, okay? Unlike, phone calling or something that we showed in the past, you don't have to wait for your registration to be approved to do phone calls, but for text messages you do. And so we would recommend only testing this right now if you are sure that your A2P 10DLC registration is approved. If you need to check that, you just go over to settings, phone numbers, and then there's going to be a trust center there that you can check inside of those actual settings. Okay, so you can check if your A2P10 DLC is approved. If it is, go ahead and test it. If it's not yet, that you can wait for it to get approved and then make sure that you test it, because remember, it is the reps and the action that you are taking that is going to allow you to actually acquire the skill of having to do this. Do not wait to be like, oh yeah, I think it's going to work because they showed me in the training, and then all of a sudden when you actually need it, you don't know how to use it. Make sure you are doing the reps. Very, 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 very important. We've used this Vince Lombardi quote in the past before. The difference between a successful person and the one who is not a lack of knowledge or a lack of strength, but a lack of will and actually doing the action. Okay, so making sure that your efforts are turning into a reality. So make sure you're staying focused and driven and taking action. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been this training on how to manage SMS text messaging inside of ClientKit. All right, welcome to this training where we are going to be talking about managing your digital wallet when it comes to phone and text messaging. So we've talked about this perhaps previously if you went through the training about email and how to manage that. It's very important to understand, hey, what is your digital wallet and how do you manage this? And so for a lot of you, this might be a reminder. If not, that hey, we're going to go through this in depth for you, is that there are features inside of your business platform that are going to be usage-based features. These are features that ClientKit relies on external services that they know they're not in control over. And so as a result, they pass on the costs to us and to you as the user, right? So features like phone calling. ClientKit has to rely on the phone providers to do that, right? SMS text messaging, phone providers, email marketing, AI tools, premium triggers and actions. Those do have an additional usage-based cost. Now those costs are extremely nominal, right? We've gone ahead and on the screen right now, you'll see what those costs are. They're very, very, very low. They're very, very nominal. They really don't make that big of a dent in your business, and they are variable costs. And so it's not something that you got to worry about, because as your business grows and as you send out more text messages, well, guess what? You have the money in order to fund that. So it's not a big deal. However, you just want to be empowered and educated so you understand exactly what's going on here. Okay, now let's talk about how to actually manage your digital wallet. How you do that is you go over to settings, and then from settings, you then go over to company billing. Okay, you're going to see whatever plan you are on there. It's going to show you what your billing history is over there. And it's going to also show you whatever payment methods that you have on file. Okay, you always want to make sure that whatever payment method you have on file right over here is active. This is very important, not only for your monthly subscription, but also for your digital wallet. It is going to go ahead and use that specific card. So you want to make sure it's active, because you don't want to lose your ClientKit account. You don't want to lose your phone number. You don't want to lose your ability to send out emails. This is a heart of your entire business. It's very important that you keep this active primarily. And then underneath that, you are going to see the credits. Now the credits, this is basically your digital wallet, right? And your digital wallet, these credits are what is going to be deducted in order for those text messages, emails, usage-based features to be used. And what you want to do over here is where it says auto recharge with X amount of money when the balance is lower than $0. Our recommendation is that what you should do is you should come over here and auto recharge with, you say, cool, recharge with $10, but don't leave this to when your balance is lower than $0. What you want to do is you probably don't want to wait until you're negative in order to recharge. You probably want to move this. And let me see if I can move this up so you can see what I'm saying here, right? You probably want this to be over at either $10 or $25. So that way you can make sure that you don't end up going negative. Because if you go negative and then your card declines and you're not getting your credits, that's going to mess everything up. And so we would recommend going ahead and making this at least $10 or $25, probably $10, so that way it'll recharge with the $10 on there, okay? Now after that, you can actually go in and click on See Transactions. And then when you click on See Transactions on here, it is going to show you, hey, these are all of the usage-based features that you have used this month so far, last month, and then the previous month. And so this is how you can keep track of what your expenses on the usage-based features are, as well as an entire list underneath here that is going to show you every single minor usage-based transaction. And you can literally just click on the ID and it'll show you, hey, who made that transaction, what user made that transaction, what is that transaction. And so you can actually keep track of that. If you wanted to export that, that is available for you as well. It tells you exactly what the cost of that is going to be as well. So you can keep track of this. It's not something that's like hidden. ClientKit is doing an amazing job to try and make this as transparent for us and for you. It's just a matter of you knowing how to be able to use these things. And so that's the reason why we're talking about, hey, controlling your digital wallet, how to be able to see the settings on how your digital wallet actually recharges, making sure that your card is staying active on file, as well as how to see your transactions. Now, the important thing I want to go ahead and break down for you here is that these usage-based features over here that you see, these are not refundable. The reason we say that is because I think a lot of people don't understand. It's kind of like your electricity bill. If you go out and accidentally left your electricity on while you went out, and then all of a sudden that electricity got used, and then the electric company charged you, well, the electricity got used regardless of if you actually wanted to use it or not. And that's the reason why we're educating you on how to use these features, so that way you don't end up in a situation where you accidentally used it and then we're not sure how to use it, right? And so in the same way now, of course, if the electricity company overcharged you for like a mistake on their end, of course, that's a different story. They'll refund you on that, right? But if something you actually used, which is trackable here, they made it very clear what is actually used, what the actual log of what was being used is. If that is actually used, then guess what? They're going to get charged on that, and that is what it is, okay? So it's very important to understand. This is the reason why we're walking you through the system and the strategy. You do not want to be like those new business owners who is like either on one side or the other side. Either they're nickel and diming every small thing, and they don't realize like, hey, you're in business. You're not going to be able to make money if you don't actually spend some money, right? So there's something that you got to do here. But then you don't want to end up on the other side where you're like, yo, you know what? I'm going to overspend for no reason. Just spend all the money. No, you don't want to do that either, right? And so obviously you want to be wisdom thinking in the middle and understanding, hey, be empowered, understanding, be balanced here, so that way you understand the nuance in the same way that Jeff Bezos, who is an awesome entrepreneur, veteran entrepreneur, was actually understanding that wisdom in the beginning of starting his business as well. The last thing I want to go ahead and mention here, remember these usage-based charges are what is charged by the phone carriers, the email providers, these external services to ClientKit, and then they go ahead and pass those on to us. But I do want to also go ahead and remind you, there is no guru on the mountain here, okay? If you are not sure as to what's going on here, if you're not sure how these transactions work, if you're not sure how these fees work, obviously ClientKit support is there. But on top of that, the community is here to support you. All of the best, latest, cutting edge learning and trainings are happening inside of the community, not in the courses. The courses are just the amalgam of the trainings after a bunch of months, okay? So sometimes these trainings might even be out of date, but they're really only here to provide the foundation for the new people who are joining the program and the community. But really the latest and the greatest of what is working right now in the marketplace is going to be found in the actual community as we help all of each other go up the mountain. So remember, this is a community. If you are questioning what's going on here, if you have questions, you need help, make sure you are reaching out via the community. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, success doesn't just find you. You have to go out there and get it. You have to go out there and work for it. And by going through these trainings, by taking action, by understanding the ABCs of how to run your business, your dedication is going to continue to pay off. Stay strong. Keep on moving forward. This has been how to manage your digital wallet for phone and text messages. We will catch you in the next training.